4 years have passed since first contact. Earth, the third planet, fell under siege to an alien fleet the likes of which we'd never seen. The situation seemed dire, but to our surprise, the enemy were easily repelled, withdrawing at the first show of resistance and vanishing as swiftly as they'd appeared. Their technology had simply been no match for that of mankind. Considering the minimal damage done, there was perhaps a silver lining to the incident. The attack had unified us, bringing an end to eons of conflict over ethnic and religious divides. Afterward, we studied what we could from the wreckage of enemy ships, but there was precious little to be learned. The vessels had been outfitted with self-bricking mechanisms, making them all but impossible to examine. Then, 2 years later, there was a second contact. The identity of the alien menace remained a mystery, but this time, we were ready for them. Knowing another encounter was all but inevitable, we'd work together as one human race to make preparations to intercept and attack. Having only incurred minor damage in the previous clash, we'd assumed the enemy would be even easier to repel this time. But the alien invaders had another surprise for us. Their once outdated technology had evolved immensely in 2 years' time. It was now nearly on par with our own. Had we not undergone a technological revolution over those 2 years, they might have wiped us out then and there. Then, as the battle descended into chaos, the enemy vanished yet again. This time, however, we were able to track them. They had performed a series of space-time jumps, consolidating their forces at the edge of our solar system. Then, with a mysterious blast, disappeared altogether. Some theorized they'd recognized their imminent defeat and self-destructed. But ultimately, we determined it safest to assume they'd escaped, leaving open the possibility of a future encounter.
All right. Oh, God, I hope everything's all right. I hope everything's working right. It's been a minute, I guess.
I'm not positioned correctly, and also you're on the gameplay
whoops.
View.
Yeah. All right. Now you should be positioned right. I'm gonna have to reposition you. I don't know why that is any different than it was, but I'll fix that afterwards.
Sandy was watching Nelly playing.
I'm out of practice, you know. I'm gone for a week, and I'm like completely out of practice. Oh, how's it going?
It's going. I mean, it's been a lot of Zelda. It's hard to put down, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I played quite a bit, but I'll tell you, these last couple weeks have been like non-stop. I can't even express to everybody like how crazy it's been between like getting that last episode done, my work trip, like all this end of school stuff with my kids. Like this is their last week of school, and my daughter it's her last day at this elementary school before she goes on to middle school. So it's been like all this stuff, and this week is gonna be pretty crazy too, because I have to do a presentation to like several different of the classes at her school, at my kid's school, for a thing called Future Day, and the faculty have found out that I do YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, you got to talk to the kids about doing YouTube." So I'm going to like kind of have like some basic bullet points to go over, but I'm also going to bring in my laptop, and I'm going to bring a Mister and that EVGA light.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to set it up. I'm going to bring the fold out, pop out green screen, and I'm going to let people kind of sit. And I'm going to say, you know, you can go ahead and like play this game for a little bit and
Yeah.
make a
Oh,
like commentate on it while you're playing it, because my whole thing is like I want to be like, it's not as easy as it looks, or as like everyone thinks that it probably is. Because
even though what you're setting them up to do is a lot easier than what you normally do.
Yes. Exactly. But I think it'll be kind of fun, like you just talk about different stuff, and then I'll, like if somebody wants to do that, like one person can volunteer, and then I'll like, I'll have the mister and I'll just like put like a game on there. Like, I don't know if I'll have a separate monitor from the play on. They might just be playing in the OBS window. But the whole thing is that I want them to understand that, it's very hard to, be funny or be like articulate when you're like also focusing on the game. And it's like a learned skill and something that, you have to learn to do. Or, I mean, I can't do it by myself still.
Yeah.
Still like battling this cough. It's really just allergies is what the problem has been.
It's amazing. I have somehow got this far in the year without needing to take any allergy medicine.
Really? That is incredible, because
it hasn't been that way, and I couldn't tell you how long. Like, and it's been worse in recent years, and then all of a sudden this year, it's like
I've heard from a lot of people that this year has been notably worse.
I don't know what the deal is. I've somehow done really good.
Yeah.
Mr. Do says have them all play Fire Shark for Genesis. Or what about you have them play Heck Fire? I'm sure that would go over real well.
I mean, I'll probably just pick something like that they might know of or something. I don't know. I mean, I could also bring a Switch in or something that I could just like let them do that. But I want to get the point across that they can't just sit there and like yell and like,
Yeah.
But whatever, it's
and they'll just be like, whatever, boomer.
Yeah. Well, but not really. Like,
they're gonna think you're real cool.
Or they're not old enough to like feel that way. I don't think. I think that they're all. I mean, it's only up to 5th grade. So, but yeah, I mean, like my trip to Florida was kind of a whirlwind, but I got down there last Sunday and I came back on Tuesday night. I got back around midnight, and then the next day was my daughter's 5th grade graduation. Was the next day, and then they had another event the next night. It's just like, and then yesterday was my daughter's birthday. So literally, like, I've somehow managed to play a lot of Zelda, but like in terms of, just only that's like good. When I have some time, like just I have a little bit of time right here, so I'm just gonna sit and do it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I was telling you, I just like finished the first like. I guess temple. Like, I didn't even know that there was temples. Like, they were called temples in this. I'm sorry if I've spoiled that for anybody. It's now that we're, has it been out for 2 weeks or a week?
I checked because I'm not sure what the turnover is. It might be like after day 10 that it starts telling you how many hours you've played rather than just like
I'm wondering
how many days ago.
Yes.
So today was I checked today and it says started 9 days ago, which somehow, like, I know I've played so much, but it also somehow feels like it's only been a week or less, because I don't know. Like, it's just, it's amazing. Cause I've been pretty busy too, but also like having a game that I'm just like that captivated by and just like want to play that badly, like, has somehow helped me find like more time to play.
Well, yeah, I mean,
while still getting things done. And I feel like it's like just been like really good for me, like just like being that absorbed and into a game, like more so than I have been in probably a good while.
Yeah.
Probably since Kirby last year, even though this is like a much larger scale. But like, it's just like, I feel good. I feel good, and I attribute it to Zelda.
That's all good. I mean, like I'm feeling very good myself, just in terms of, just in terms of like getting stuff done. Combined with that, I guess, like that episode last week, it went over pretty well, I think. And considering that, so I wrote the majority of that basically on Monday and Tuesday, and I had sent it off for fact checking on Tuesday night. And it continued to get fact checked through Wednesday, and I recorded my on camera stuff on Wednesday, and recorded all my voiceover on Wednesday, and got that all laid out, and then I edited it on Thursday and Friday, released it on Saturday. So it was really, considering everything, it was like a 5-day thing. So I mean, as well as that went over, and it's been really cool, like seeing the reaction to it, because a lot of people said, "Oh, it's been a long time since you guys put out a video that's been like this helpful," and it felt really good to have something like that. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is the kind of video that I subscribed to you guys way back when for. So like, it just felt good to get that done. But like, I mean, it was, combined with work stuff, like getting prepped for that trip. But I also had to, where like the thing I had to take the trip for was for like these events coming up, and the stuff that we were shooting is with we're filming some stuff with high school students, and they're all like 2 kids getting these things called Courage Awards, which is basically sports players at a school that have overcome like crazy horrible things happening to them, and then they get this award for it. And like one kid got hit with a baseball, like he was like practicing with somebody, and he like there's a hole in the net, and the guy he was just like tossing balls to somebody, and they were hitting as hard as they could, and it went through a hole in the net, and it like hit him in the eye.
Oh.
And it was like, I can't remember what the term for it was, but it was like an horrible implosion or something like that.
Oh my goodness. I
know. But I mean, he got surgery, and he's doing okay now. And he got back, and another kid, lost his mother at the beginning of the season, and then went on to do like really, really well, So there was, filming that, and I had a bunch of stuff that I had to get done before going there. So I was like, it's been a long time since I felt like I was just being so efficient and just like focusing on the things that needed to get done. And then also, like after I was done for the day, like I get a couple of hours of Zelda. And then like on the trip, I played a bunch on the plane, played a bunch like before like going to sleep. And, like each morning I've been kind of getting up and playing for a couple hours before, like starting into real work. So it's just like, I feel really good about, just getting stuff done. But I think I got like after this week is going to be crazy again. But then it should kind of even out, I think. Although I have to go up to Akron, Ohio on the evening of Memorial Day or Labor Day. Memorial Day is first. Yeah, Memorial Day. And then I'm filming another one of those high school kids for another thing up there, and then coming back on the 30th. And then after that, it should be pretty laid back. I'm hoping. All right. So on that note, I think we should probably get into this game. So this is the Solaris Assault English localization version 1.0. This is much of the same team that did Bulk Slash that we played. Was it last year or the year? It was last year I played Bulk Slash, right?
I think that's right, but it's possible it could have been the year before. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah, I see that Shadow Mask is in the chat, who I know was involved with this project.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch over here and get the audio on here. But Shadow Mask instructed me to, check out the README that was included with it, and there's a number of different additions made to this game from the Japanese release.
Okay.
And one of them is that this supports the mission stick, which is like the stick that I got.
Well,
to play
that was also added to Bulk Slash as well, right?
The twin sticks were added to Bulk Slash.
Okay.
So I do have a mission stick, but I'm going to play with a normal controller for a little bit, and then I'll break out the mission stick and play using that after a little while. The audio, the audio might be weird because of the stupid. Is it just sounding weird? If it is, it's probably because of the noise suppression. I can turn that off, and that might help. Let me know if that fixed it.
I'm just watching this demo. I'm very impressed with how smooth it looks.
Yeah. So it might be. Could it be the limiter?
Apparently that fixed it.
Okay, good.
So I guess that doesn't work so well for gameplay.
Yeah.
Or game audio. Well, while you get started on this, I should probably catch up on super chats a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we just got to talking. You need to move me over, by the way.
That's right. Let me finish that. Fix that.
There was before we even really got going, there was a $5 super chat from Mitch B. Thank you. Saying renting a 32X and Shadow Squadron in 1995 convinced me to buy a 32X. Anytime someone trash talks the systems, I remember those Armada polygon fights. I have to confess, I'm not familiar with Shadow Squadron. Is it all related to this, or just kind of similar to this?
I'm not familiar with Shadow Squadron.
But yeah, I mean that's like me and the N64, right? Like. It's just like I can't tolerate people trash talking the system because of just how blown away I was when I first saw it.
It's a remake of Shadow Squadron, which is called Stellar Assault in Japan. So we got a red and a blue. I'll just stick with the blue.
Okay. I did not know that. I kept getting this game confused with, and we were talking about it just before the stream started. Hyper Duel.
I'm just trying to be able to do it here.
Hyper Duel, right?
Yes, Hyper Duel is like
that's like the sprite based game where you like transform between like a ship and a mech. Right?
Yes, that is like my most wanted Saturn game.
We've concentrated our ranks,
but it's like $700. Made like in some cases like $500. Convention price.
This was a predictive measure
like
based on the enemy's previous appearances near Neptune's neighboring planets.
Yeah, but that I just get them confused. I don't know if it's just like a Steel Assault type of situation where it's just like, I don't know, Stellar Assault, Hyper Duel, like for some reason those names just don't stand out.
Yes, well I mean this is also, Stellar Assault. Steel Assault sounds pretty
they've quickly managed to establish a position within attack.
I mean, it's like on its own, it's like, oh yeah, that's Stellar Assault. That sounds cool, but it's also kind of, I don't know, like it's
it could be anything.
In the vast sea of video games, it's not a distinctive enough name to really stand out on its own. Yeah. But I understand it's quite a cool game. Thus the why people would do this translation. So now I can't hear it, but this does have like
it has English voiceovers that were recorded for this localization by the team.
Man, these polygons look fantastic. I gotta say, just like
so it's mostly
the smoothness of it. I don't know. It really does kind of just stand out for.
Our hope is therefore
I don't know. It's beyond what you might expect for a game with this aesthetic.
We need to dispatch a reconnaissance craft, but with the Space Command still in its preparatory stages,
I found out by reading this README that this game does have a third-person view. I feel like I'm going to probably switch to that because I feel like it's probably more interesting to look at. The cockpit view is just the reticle.
I don't
But
do
as
so
the
well
name
with
says,
first
they
person
were
like
designed
ship
for support
based or
and are
car
thus
based
unmanned
things.
and unarmed. Their partner Feather One Crafts will therefore
And then
accompany
there
them
was
on this mission.
also
After the jump,
199
all
from
units will
Dingus
advance to
Galert.
the
Thank
navigational
you.
point
Thank
and
you.
conduct a scan.
Saying
Viewers
TNG on
will
one
undock
screen,
from their
MLiG on
support craft
one,
during
and
this
Tears of
scan
the
to
Kingdom
ensure
equals
optimal
Great
response
Night.
time
I'm assuming Tears of the
should any
Kingdom is just on
emergency
Switch
arise.
screen in that case.
Once scanning is
I don't know what
complete,
I
redock with your
did.
support
I feel like
craft and withdraw.
TNG sounds
Best
like
of
an
luck.
acronym I should know. I don't know.
Star Trek Next Generation, I assume.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My mind did go to Star Trek, but I thought, is that it? Is that it? I also always think of you always talk about TNL, the next
Yeah, oh,
level,
yeah.
the old forums.
Yep.
And then there was a $5 super chat from the legendary K4. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Same time was perfect on the
This is Alt
PS2
one.
Slim adapter
Right.
video as I was
Three.
looking into
Radio check.
USB-C
clear, sir.
to replace my
This
wall
marks the
boards,
first
but this
field
is
up of the
way
Olympic
easier.
Space Command.
Thank you.
Let's move
You
on.
know,
Coordinates confirmed.
I feel like I saw a comment asking like, "Oh, could you do this with USB as well?" And like, I guess I could maybe see like a USB-C hub
Yeah, right.
possibly being able to.
Disengaging
I mean, do
drive.
people do that?
Well, Pork Chop, Mystery Add-ons has one coming. That
For old consoles, not
yeah,
just
yeah,
for this?
USB-C to like barrel adapters.
Okay, because I mean, yeah, because that you can pull like variable amounts of power from, like a power delivery device, but like, even though the consoles only use 5 volts, I suspect if you were pulling from like basic USB,
Oh yeah. I
you'd
mean,
run into trouble because it would just be barely.
well, the thing is so basic USB. I think it only goes up to 5 volts, and
It's also usually like 1 amp. It can be more, but it's usually not. I don't know what kind of amp.
right. It's not much.
Very good. Undock your support craft and start scanning.
Undocking Kite 3. Stand by on heightened.
Speaking of USB power,
Kite 3. Initiating scan.
when I went to my parents last weekend, I went over there the day that Zelda came out.
Mm-hmm.
And in the room down the basement where I've got the projector set up, I decided to bring one of an old computer that I wasn't doing much with here, and I put a capture card in that computer, and I decided I'm just going to bring that and just leave it there, and that way I can do like interval recording when I visit my parents. Like, there's there's no downside to it, really, right?
Right.
So I'm so used to using AV receiver or HDMI splitters for capture, sending it to capture card and to a screen, as opposed to using like pass through on the capture card, right? Like, I slightly distrust I slightly distrust pass through and like actually being lag free.
Uh-huh.
I need to do more tests.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the thing is,
but anyway,
it's got to be like, I think that Epos Vox did like some pretty thorough tests saying that like it's like basically like zero lag. I did. I want to say it was when I was working on the like Mega SG video or something like that. I had some reason to think like, oh yeah, this is definitely adding some lag, but I may have not had the time sleuth yet. I can't remember for sure. Or I may have just not had the means to test what I was trying to test. But anyway, so I had bought a while back. I had bought an extra. I've got this. I've got one that I've had in use for a while, and I thought it seemed pretty good.
a 4 in 2 out HDMI 2.1 or no, excuse me, 2.0. I guess it's technically a matrix if it's got 4 in 2 out. And I bought another one because I had an idea for it, and then I changed my mind. But I thought, I'll keep it anyway. And so it's just been sitting around unused all this time. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll bring it to my parents' house so I can, use it as a switcher on the projector there and, send one output to the capture card and one output to the projector. And, it didn't work. And, I tried powering it via USB in several ways. And, when I first plugged it in, a light would come on and then it would just do nothing. Like an LED would come on just for a split second. And it would just do nothing. So I guess it's just dead on arrival, and it's too bad that I never tested it months ago so I could return it. But so anyway, luckily I had put a capture card with a pass through in the computer. So, and even if it did have a 16 millisecond lag, for a game like Zelda and 30 FPS game anyway, it's not even all that. So it ended up being totally fine, but and maybe I will just do that going forward.
Yeah.
When I go there instead of worrying about splitting the signal. But the other thing I don't like about it is you have to have your computer on.
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah.
That's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean the way my computer is on from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. Although I do, a lot of people say they're surprised that I shut down every night even, but I do.
I tend to shut down too unless I'm uploading something or rendering something overnight, But
Music's
part of
great.
it too is I just want reduced room noise sometimes too, I don't want any extraneous sounds. I just want to play this game and no other sound, I don't want to hear the fan. I don't, and sometimes just having the computer off can just be a stress reducer, But when I'm doing interval recording, that's fine. But that computer is not always on. It's only really on if I'm recording or streaming. That's the only thing that computer is meant to do, the one downstairs. So today, I didn't start playing Zelda until I don't know, 4:30 or so maybe. And I was just I'm not going to do interval recording today. I've already done a bunch of interval recording.
Yeah, at this point, there's no reason they have more than what we probably already have.
Yeah. I might do a little more here or there, but I'm also worried that the more I do, the more incidental spoilers there could be in the footage, and so it might not be as useful.
Yeah, that's why, when I've been recording stuff for the end of the year video, it's just a random amount of stuff, and then I'm I just stop.
Recharge and pursue the asteroid while awaiting further
If there's anything
instructions.
specific that I need, I would do it. I'd get that if I needed it specifically.
Have you been doing a little Zelda recording yourself?
I did a little bit, but not really much.
Yeah, you should do at least enough so that as much as possible, our sections of the end of the year video can represent our own playthroughs,
So what is trace play? What does it mean when it says trace?
There was a while back a super long time ago, 6 minutes ago. I'm sorry.
The asteroid launched
a 499 from Ray Bowling. With no comment, but they also subscribed. So thank you.
We are now loading Falcon 1 with a resonant frequency round.
Oh,
Once
Trace is a
trained,
replay.
we,
Oh, that's kind of
along
a
with
funny
equal
way to put it.
featherweights,
Like,
will
I
enter
could
your
see
position.
calling it Trace,
Meanwhile,
like
take
when,
note of the vernier
like,
sensors
before-
attached to the asteroid
like
for course
before
correction.
people
Destroy
really knew
them
what to
before
call
we
it.
arrive. Over and out.
Oh yeah, it's like it's tracing where you've been.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's funny.
You have to you have to beat this game in one sitting, huh? So there's a way to get like the true ending. Multiple endings has good ending
Getting in
and a
front of this
significantly
thing will
less
be a
good
royal
ending.
pain.
Criteria for getting
Birdie,
the good ones
you
are not
handle
that
the front.
difficult, but are
Me
well
and Brian
hidden.
will take care
I
of
have
the
like a
rear.
list here of stuff to get the
Really,
good.
Captain?
Oh, okay.
You're gonna make him do your dirty work just because you
There
don't
was
feel like it?
also
Quiet. Captain's orders are captain's orders.
a $9.99 from Tony Escobar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying my daughter, son, and I are just loving Zelda. Thoroughly enjoying exploring the new world and solving puzzles. Just finished Solar Striker Game Boy on the Pocket and just started Earthbound. Love it, man. Sounds like a lot of good gaming going on. Solar Striker, I feel like that's a game that I just see at game stores all the time and have like never looked into what it is. I'm going to do so right now. Solar Striker. Solar Striker is a vertically scrolling shooter video game designed by Nintendo and Minikuchi Engineering, published by Nintendo for the Game Boy. Let's look at some screenshots. Oh, I feel like I've seen this come up before somewhere for some reason.
Oh, I can. Do you have unlimited missiles?
Yeah, I've never really looked into this game. That's cool.
Next video, yeah, I think it's probably going to be the room tour. Like I mean,
you were kind of cooking several.
Yeah, I have a couple of, like
contests, but
smaller,
you're gonna have
like,
to hone in
easier.
on one of them, I guess.
yeah. But like the one thing I haven't received yet, so like I was just thinking about just going, like
Yeah, it'll either be a room tour video or you're expecting a review sample of.
yeah, and it's like not
Would be
even
kind
a
of
thing. It like it's not something we would normally cover, but I just
No,
I'm only doing it because like the word of mouth of it was like
really
convinced
good.
me, and I was like, oh,
And you can also pick up a retro game angle that most people probably haven't.
Is that who I think it is?
Failed to confirm ID signal.
That should be pretty fun. I'm actually really excited to
All
see
units return fire. Don't die.
that. I mean, I don't even know
Don't
how
die.
you're going to review it. How you're going to make a video that is.
yeah.
It'll be cool though. I'm interested.
The music in this game is really, really good.
I mean, I'm just impressed by how smooth it is. I mean, you know, I have to confess, I'm not like a big like dogfighting
Yeah.
kind of like I don't know what it is about it. Just like, you know, searching for small things off in the distance and always having to adjust your aim like so far ahead of, you know, where the thing is and predict where it's going to be when the shots hit it. It's not a genre I've ever really taken a shine to. Like, I mean, probably my favorite ones that I've played are like Factor 5's Star Wars Rogue Squadron games. But even those, like, I've never, like, I feel like I love those less than most people. Like, most people would probably consider, like, Rogue Squadron, like, one of the absolute best games on N64. And for me, I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's good. It's fine. Of course, you know, Rogue Leader on GameCube is just, especially considering it's a launch game,
Carrying a heavy payload here. I need
phenomenal achievement.
Roger that, buddy. Right.
But like just from a gameplay perspective, they don't just dogfighting games just typically don't really gel with me. I'll be really curious how I take to the Ace Combat games. You know, you gave me a random Ace Combat game.
I gave you the PS3.
I don't remember why. Did you accidentally buy it and already have it or something?
Yeah.
It's this Ace Combat Assault Horizon.
Yeah.
I don't know why what makes it a spin-off. Oh, I think I actually looked it up. I think some are considered spin-offs because they take place like on Earth instead of their fantasy.
Oh yeah,
Earth.
yeah.
But I'll be curious because I mean those are pretty well done. I liked that. I really liked the look of that one. What was that PS2 game that John was playing when?
Heat Seeker.
Get away from the target.
Yeah, that looked really good actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things I liked about Ace Combat 7 is it has this kind of arcade control style
Impact.
Yeah.
imminent.
that makes it feel almost Afterburner-esque.
Yeah.
And it like that's how about halfway through the game, that's kind of how I started playing it. I thought
Falcon 1 to all
it was
units.
just more appealing.
The asteroid is smashed.
And I know that that's
Fragments
not
are
in
still
like the previous
Break
one,
formation and fire at will to demolish what's left.
but
Over.
oh well.
Alex Gavin says, I never played Rogue Squadron 3. How was that? I did not put a lot of time into that after beating it. It was disappointing because it had a lot of, just kind of like Star Fox Assault. It's like, oh, we gotta add on foot gameplay that no one really wants, that we're not going to be
literally
really
nobody
capable of delivering in a satisfying way. But we gotta do it. And so, yeah, you've got these bad, like, on-foot levels playing as different characters, and they're not great.
Yeah.
And then, like, the ship levels, like, none of them are as good as... I mean, they're fine, but none of them, like, I would say reach the heights of Rogue Leader. And how could it? Because Rogue Leader, like, I mean, it goes through the movie. It goes from, Death Star 1 through Death Star 2, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't beat that.
Nope. And like the Battle of Endor, like the space battle in that is still like, is still like the best space battle in like any of the movies, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was 3 minutes ago a $5 super chat from Mitch B again. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Saying this rock shows up in the 32X game for only 2 seconds firing into space. This level is really expanding on the idea of the Excel Gate asteroid gun. So I guess this is like way... And it's got a run.
So
I'd be curious what the frame rate of the
Breaching the Earth's atmosphere.
32X version is.
32X game is, because
Falcon 1 to all
like
units. Mission
this
complete.
just looks
All
so
units
much
return to
smoother
base.
than I would expect it to look, honestly.
But it does run letterbox. It defaults to having a blue background, but I turned it all the way off.
Oh, interesting. it's like, oh no, I gotta be using my screen real estate.
Yeah.
If there's no pixels on the screen, what am I going to do? The pixels must cover every inch. But I mean, really, a lot more games in this era
How big battleships running cell
run with pretty heavy letterboxing, more than you
Hawk and
think.
Eagle squadrons
the
will
big
carry out an
battleships
attack
first.
on this site.
Or
And then
even
the
really
shredding cell game.
like
It is
Super
imperative
Nintendo.
that
There's a
we halt these
lot of
asteroid
like
strikes. We have just one target.
what was it?
The enemy
I
Excel
feel like I
Gate.
recorded some
Eagle
footage from
Squadron will focus on
like
destroying this target. Hawk
some
Squadron,
fighting
attack
game
the
on Super
battleships around the
Nintendo
gate to
recently.
dispel the enemy forces.
They had really heavy
Good luck.
letterboxes.
Igo Dreamer is saying, or Ego Dreamer is saying, good evening. So how good is this fan translation? So I will say, based on like, what I've heard so far, I would say that this is probably better than what it would have gotten as a true translation at the time. 100%.
Well, I'm not seeing a lot of. I mean, I'm not seeing like any subtitles or anything. It's all voice, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is why games like this and Bulk Slash, it's so important that they be localized to this, high level, because
We're off.
I'm assuming much like Bulk Slash, there is some like directionality to the voices and things that are cluing you into key
Hey, Marty. How's that
targets and things like that. Like the
Even your support craft talks
The
now.
oh, that's a pretty cool
That's right,
hyperspace.
Captain.
Yeah.
Call me Maria.
Well, I mean,
Um,
the voices in this, they're like, you know, in Bulk Slash, it's like very anime-esque, and this does not feel like that at all. This feels
Right.
more just
Greetings, Captain
feels like Wing
First.
Commander.
This is
Like
Edgar.
Right.
What it felt.
Three's AI unit.
right, which I mean that's an you know, I mean that anime-esque
Motion chip.
was like amazingly done in the Bulk Slash
Yes.
translation because they really understood the intent
Yeah.
that they needed to go for with that, and I do agree that same tone would not fit this game. So it's good to hear that they did that. Is
Sounds like those
is
two
this
are the
supposed to
only
be
ones with
lasting that
emotion
this
chips.
long?
Yeah. There's
Are they
some-
talking?
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
All Hawk
Okay.
Squadron units, break formation as soon as we exit the jump. Attack any enemy ships surrounding the gate.
Arriving at the mission area.
I don't know why you're not hearing it. I could.
Oh, I don't necessarily need to hear it.
Take care of that gate, Virgil. Right.
So I got to take out the battleships first.
But yeah, like the voice in a game like this is like very much part of the gameplay, and I think that's something interesting that you know they were tooling around with at this time, where it's like, oh, how can we use voice in a way that like enhances the game? Whereas like now it's just like, oh well, we're just gonna put voice in because you gotta have voice in the game, or you gotta have voice because it'll, you know, people would be more attached to the characters or something like that.
Yeah.
But back in these days, like they were thinking like, okay, how can voices serve the game itself? Like, you know, there's no reason to do voice if the voice isn't in service to the gameplay, the game design, you know?
Right.
I think that's what's so interesting about, you know, some of this early, you know, this early kind of, you know, multimedia functionality, right?
I assume that the yellow reticles are for the battleships, or is that for the Excelgates? Like, I don't want to destroy the Excelgate yet, so that's what I was just shooting at. I got to take out the yellow things first. I assume that's what it was. I was just shooting the wrong thing.
You know, speaking of like how
What is the AFG?
you know,
I haven't
how-
used my AFG at all.
how voice was utilized back then, and like FMV and stuff like that. You know, I often reminisce about how FMVs were like a reward unto themselves.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
back on like, especially like PS1 era, primarily, I think of. You know, it was maybe less so by the time of like PS2, you know, especially because so much cinematics were real time and really good at being done in real time. But like FMV, like I would play through like fighting games on, you know, my cousin's PlayStation or Dreamcast, just because like I wanted to see like what different characters had for like their Indian FMVs, like in Tekken or
Yeah.
Air Guides or I think Dead or Alive. I can't remember if that had FMVs or not. But like I would like I've never really been interested in fighting games, but it's just like I want to see FMVs because FMVs are just like so cool looking, right?
Yeah.
And so I would play through those games, like just the single player arcade
see them,
mode,
yeah.
like just to see what different characters had for their Indian FMVs.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of thought of that actually again today, because that's like, you don't, I feel like cinematics, while often, you know, very cool and stuff like, and enjoyable. I'm not saying cinematics are less enjoyable today necessarily, but they don't feel like a treat or a worthwhile reward always in and of themselves. But then, like, I stopped and thought about what I'm doing with, I mean, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but like I've been really into, like I've only got 2 more to do of the like the glyphs or whatever you call them, like the land glyphs in Tears of the Kingdom. Like I've only got 2 more to do.
I don't really understand how you do them. Do you just take photographs of them or what?
Have you completed?
I've done the first one where you went up in the balloon with the input.
Right. So I mean, I don't want to spoil what you see when you do it, but like you're looking for a teardrop shape, and there's like usually like multiple teardrop shapes in it. But as far as I've deduced, it's always a teardrop that has like a solid interior.
Okay.
And you walk up to that, and like a small little water pool will appear inside.
Okay.
And you walk up to it and examine it, and you get a cutscene. And it's actually, you know, it's using the in-game engine, but it's encoded FMV.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is not like, it's actually not great looking encoding. It's fairly poor encoding. But even in spite of that, like I've actually been pretty interested by the story in Tears of the Kingdom, much more than I ever was interested in the story in Breath of the Wild or probably.
I mean, there was not much of a story to Breath.
No. Breath of the Wild story didn't do much for me. But I'm actually like really I'm really into the Tears of the Kingdom story, to tell you the truth. Like I've found it to be really engaging, and I like want to uncover the mysteries and stuff. And I feel like it's going actually some pretty interesting places. So I don't want to spoil that.
I haven't done really any story at all.
That is your only, and it's considered main quest. Like it's different from like the the regions and do this, but it is considered part of the main quest, like from the Puripad menu. And like I realized today, I'm like, wow, I've been like really going hard to get all these done, and like I don't get anything for it other than, well, for one, I think there's always a Korok hidden somewhere on the cliff.
That's good.
And 2, but when you all you get is a FMV, all you get is a cutscene. But like I've actually been.
And it's fleshing out the story, though, like of what's that's like fleshing out the detail of the story, right?
It is, and I guess I'm just saying that to say, like I don't know. I thought of it today where it's like
do in the last one, where you visit the places that Zelda had taken photos.
Right. But
and
this
that gives you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Actually, I forgot about that.
So it's similar to that, I assume.
To me, this is much more interesting, though.
Yeah.
And probably also just because the story is much more interesting.
Yeah. I just think it's amazing. Like all this stuff, like hearing like, oh, there's like more of a story to it, but for me, like I've barely done any story. I've like I told you, I've uncovered the whole map and everything, and not the underground, which was spoiled for me by last week's stream. Not because you went in there, but like because there was a comment on that on the archive.
I tried to not go in there, and then I was like, "Oh, this well looks interesting. Let me go in here." And oops, I didn't mean to go here during the stream.
But I've done like I've done like 56 shrines or something like that. So I just think it's more fun. Like what I like about it.
I've still got 2 towers to do.
Yeah, see, I've done all the towers, and I can jump around really, really easily now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done like 3 of the 4 fairies, the great fairies, and just like I don't know, like I just think it's I guess that's what I get from Breath of the Wild also, where I just thought it was more fun to just see how powerful you can get.
Yeah, and I've got pretty good weapons at this point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it struck me today where I was like, wow, like even though like on a technical level these are poorly encoded FMVs, but it did take me back to where like I was like really into doing a task in a game for no purpose, no gameplay reward other than FMV. So of course, I'm sure there will be a gameplay reward once I do them all and then like finish the actual quest, which I did find. I found the location for where you need to go after. I don't know if there will be a lot more to it after that, but like I need to like finish getting the glyphs and then go back. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. And I think is like a testament to how the game has done a good job of integrating story into gameplay and like kind of making them like feed into each other and making uncovering the mysteries like a major driving point in how you explore. I think that's really interesting. Anyway, there was a pretty iffy take here from old Ben Brody with the $2 super chat saying, "Try Zelda 2 is not as good as you think it is." You know what? I think Zelda 2 is exactly as good as I think it is. I don't know how good you think I think Zelda 2 is. I think Zelda 2 is really good. I like it more than Zelda 1. I think the feel of controlling Link, the combat, the down thrust, the feel of using the shield and the sword play, I think all of that stuff is excellent. I love how the game looks. I think, just like the aesthetic of Hyrule and the towns and the monster sprites. Music is great. There's so many great elements. It's pretty... I found it to be a lot more manageable, like, after I kind of got a good foothold in it. Like, after, like, the second temple or so, because I had a hard time for many years really gain a good foothold into the game. But once I cleared the second temple, it really clicked a lot more. I mean, in the grand scheme of Zeldas, I mean, I still wouldn't rank it like ultra high or anything, but I like the game a whole lot.
I love how it actually, like, I don't know if it's like intentional for it to slow down there, but I like.
Oh, it looks awesome.
The effect
it looks so cool.
Remaining enemy units are retreating. Mission complete.
But I love the NES. I love Zelda, and I love Zelda 2 enough to make Zelda 2 Link my permanent forever avatar. So there you go.
Okay.
I see that Pandemonium reviews every U.S. Saturn game is in here, asking if I play this with the mission stick. I do have one. It's right over there. From what I understand, you have to play through the game in one sitting, so I'm afraid... I'm not sure if it will do anything if I switch controllers, like, mid-game. I don't want it to, like, screw up anything. So.
There was another $2 super chat from Ben Brody saying, Corey, did you get a PSVR 2 yet? If not, will you?
I know I didn't get one. I haven't really thought about it too much, but like from what I understand, it's starting to show up like in stores now. Like I think
I did see that,
and I wonder if I walked in there if I would be able to. I would think about it probably more so than I've thought about it previously up to that point.
When let's see, May 24th, because there was it looks like it's Wednesday. There's
potential for further strikes.
Let's see, what time is it? 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. There's going to be a state of play, and they specifically mentioned it would, it bring up PSVR 2 software, which is good because like Sony has acted like they've put the PSVR 2 out there to die.
Yeah, now it seems like that's starting to happen, and I wonder if they're only doing it's only going to the stores because they hadn't sold well at all, and they're just kind of sitting.
Well, of course it sold badly just selling it direct to customer through their website. Like, what were they even thinking? Like, that's just not. That's. I just. I just cannot understand why they did what they did. That it's just.
Hawk Plume Wing reporting in.
You know, I mean, from what I understand, like that the headset itself is arguably like the best VR headset out there, and the control scheme is excellent. Like it sounds like it's just an excellent VR experience, and I really want one, but I also want games that I can play on it. And I'm really nervous if they don't like turn it around pretty quickly and efficiently. They're just going to kill it off, because I don't trust Jim Ryan.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're trying to do, but I really hope they give it the chance it needs. It needs time, it needs games, it needs availability. I mean, it is available, but like it needs to be accessibly available.
Yeah, I want to be able to walk into a store and be able to say,
I'm interested in this.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. It's just hopefully. I mean, the last state of play. I think it was the last state of play. They showed off a bunch of PSVR 2 stuff, and it's like these games are probably fine, but they're not going to sell anyone on PSVR 2.
Right.
Like they need, they need Half-Life Alyx. They need like whatever it's called, like Boneworks or whatever that I know John really loves. They need the Resident Evil 4 content to come out. Like the Resident Evil 8 VR mode sounds really cool, but like I thought Resident Evil 8 was just okay,
Yeah.
So it needs an Astro button. Like it needs reasons to get us really excited about it. Like I know it is expensive for a console accessory, but it is quite affordable for the technology that it is. I think. Like of course it's expensive. I'm not saying it's not, but I think the price makes sense. I really wish that they, even though it's not how I would personally use it, I really wish they made it available to play on for PC, because PC players would buy it to play their VR games on. VR games that came out, it would expand the market for the device and the market for the PSVR 2 platform significantly, and it would help developers like justify the cost of making PSVR 2 a thriving platform. I don't think PSVR 2 has to only be on PS5 for it to be, a good platform. I think expanding the number of people who could use it, expanding it to, a platform where there are more people engaged with VR, like the PC, I think would do wonders for PSVR 2 as a platform. You just like, Xbox Series S and X, you just have a requirement that it be available, that this game be capable of working on both platforms. Well, you have a requirement that if someone makes a PSVR 2 game that can run on PC, it has to run on PS5 as well, like it just makes a lot of sense to me. Like I understand the point of exclusives on console, even though Sony is, kind of going away from that and making a lot of games available on PC later. I think there is absolutely a place for console exclusives, but I think when it comes to VR, it's such a niche thing that I think having your games available for more people to play and on a platform where people are already used to VR, I think it could do so much for the health of the platform and the games that are available for it. I really wish they would consider opening that up to, let it succeed and not just put it out there to die. I am nervous about it. But you know, if it does have like enough games, you know, if it's got a really good Astrobot and you know a few other things that are worthy enough. I am nervous about, you know, whether some of those games might get physical copies. But I want to want a PSVR 2. I really want to want one.
Oh, okay.
There was
like,
also
my chat was not moving. It was just like I realized that now.
What was it moving?
My chat window was not moving, and it's like I was.
Oh.
Like nobody has comment on an Alucard. I was a little disappointed for a second there.
I didn't see if I was too absorbed in my monologue that I didn't see if anyone reacted to that. I saw just now.
Yeah, it's a couple of.
I saw SNK Nostalgia say, "I'm enjoying the rail shooter sequel Until Dawn, Rush of Blood." Yeah, I keep hearing that's good, and I have it, and I haven't played it yet. That reminds me that I saw something the other day about I guess I can't remember what it's called. You know, one of those I think multiplayer focused, you know, shooter multiplayer things, horror based. I don't remember what it's called, but I saw that like apparently the Until Dawn devs are going to be making like a single player campaign for that, which like I'm like, okay, well, that actually kind of gets my attention.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like how they have like the online like Friday the 13th and Evil Dead games?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's for a game like that, but like I would assume this game would be more in the Supermassive Games style. But like it's a single player story mode for, you know, one of those games, one of those multiplayer horror games. I don't know what it is. Anyway, there was a $10 super chat from EB Chill, Eric Benoit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying, for what it's worth, I've been using PSVR 2 for Final Fantasy 14, Batman, Arkham Knight. I don't have an OLED TV, so it's a good experience. Well, you know what? That's pretty cool. You know, does it work for like 3D movies? Like, can you run like a 3D Blu-ray on PS5 and like
you should be. I
actually
think so.
see the movie in 3D? That would be pretty cool. Like, it would be cool. I assume you can't do this, but it would just be cool to like plug in like any HDMI source. I mean, of course you can't do it because it's a single cable, unlike PSVR 1. But it'd be cool to just be able to like, if you could just like play, you know, a 3D PS3 game.
Enemy readings detected.
You know,
I believe all craft have been destroyed. Do you concur, Maria?
No bad guys here.
You concur, Maria.
Annihilated.
What a bunch of
Huh?
amateurs.
No, I'm just like the voices.
Space-time turbulence detected.
The computer.
ID signal. Holy
Oh.
crap! It's the bad
Oh.
guys.
Oh, we got a new batch.
Garuda to all units.
It's a
All
trap.
squadron's mean energy level just
Ooh.
dropped below 50%.
Coming
It
from
is too
hyperspace.
dangerous
But
to
no, they're
remain
yellow.
in combat.
Are they?
Please withdraw at once.
but yeah, I never used the PSVR 1 like mode just for like playing 2D content because it is
Roger.
pretty low res to be looking at that, just like looking at that screen. But it is a neat thing. I'll be very curious what it's like in PSVR 2.
Yeah, I mean, if I walked into a store and I saw one there, I would definitely think about it.
Replicant says it does not support 3D movies.
Oh.
Bummer. I guess it's not surprising. Like I don't even know if like the PS5 itself supports 3D in movies.
We've uncovered the
Or actually, I wonder, like, can you even watch movies on it?
You should be able to, like a big screen.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like, is it, and
I mean,
you know,
I
is it going to be
use this base
blocked
to launch a
from
new
if you have
attack
like
on us.
Yeah, I don't know.
HDCP
We
or
will
whatever,
therefore
even
make
though
the
it's not
first
going
move.
over HDMI, but
Yeah.
Our mission is to launch an all-out attack on the enemy's frontline base and eliminate the standing threat to Earth.
If anybody wants
The
to download
installation
this,
is
they
built
can
into the
find
crevasse of a
a
large asteroid with numerous
like a
battleships
already
deployed
patched
in the
version on
asteroid's
a
perimeter.
site that I mentioned in my ROM
After
hacks
arriving
video
at
that
the
a lot of
mission
people
area,
were like
all squadrons will first
annoyed
launch
that I
an
had
attack on these
mentioned
ships
by
to
name,
thin out their
or I
ranks.
didn't show, or I
Then,
showed it, but I
Hawk
never
Squadron
mentioned
will
it by
infiltrate
name.
the asteroid by way of a short jump and
I
neutralize
mean,
the
that make
frontline
sense?
base.
I was surprised you put
Best
that
of
in there
luck.
just because it's like, I don't know, it's normal internet etiquette to not, openly share such things. But like, I've seen people just like openly talking about that
Yeah,
side
exactly. I
in
mean, you put
particular.
it in,
I
and it's
I
gonna
don't
come
know
up.
why. Like, I don't know what is different about that site, but like
Yeah.
people just. I mean, I'm not entirely comfortable with putting that in a video. I'll be honest, but like I've been really curious why people seem to have a different perspective on that website.
Oh, the whole gang is here. Time to shut down the enemy's frontline base. Let's head out.
I don't know. Like people just like are so, I guess, in love with that site that they.
Well, it's got
mention
like tons of good stuff. Yeah, there. What is
Sending us out there alone just because we
Stranger
got the
Moon.
right ships.
mentioned there?
Doesn't pay to be nice, does it?
Nah,
I mean,
stop
it's
whining.
gonna come up
Our
if you
ships are too big for this one.
search for something.
The least you could do is send us some of your men.
Keep them coming, Captain. Jokes are great today.
We're at the mission area.
Pandemonium, I watched some
First,
of
take out
your
those enemy
Bug
ships.
Revisited
All units,
yesterday
break
when
and
it was doing
attack.
its premiere,
You show 'em.
and excellent as always. How many games do you have on your list of do you want to revisit? And how do you, is it exciting to redo that? Or is it, because we get asked if we would like redo videos a lot, and we just like don't have any real interest in like.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's hard to
remaking
say
videos.
though. Like, the more years that pass, like maybe it'll be like, oh, that was like so long ago. Like, it doesn't. The idea of doing like a new, NES RGB 202 or whatever, like doesn't necessarily annoy me. I don't know though. Like, people might just get confused with the old one, and it might not do very well.
Yeah, I can only imagine you're revisiting the games where you have access or you can interview somebody that would add a lot to it.
See, I like how he puts it there, where he says, it's something that I only want to do for games that I legit want to learn more about, and that's, that's what I always like to say about like when we do videos. It's like, it's not necessarily because like, oh, like I'm an expert on this subject. It's like, you know what? Like, I want to learn more about this thing, and the easiest way for me to actually learn something about it and to take the time and effort to learn something about it is to do the research and testing necessary for putting together a video. Like if I'm not putting together a video about it, then I'm probably going to just like stop somewhere halfway along the process and not really learn as much as I would like to learn, Green Devil Coury is playing on a real Saturn via RGB on the RetroTink 5X with some optical drive emulator. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
with a mode.
Did you notice, this is not really visible on the stream, but did you notice that I got all of the N64 games cleared off of this table?
I did.
There are no N64 games on this table anymore. I cleaned all of them.
All 5 of them?
No, there was like there were 35.
What?
Yes.
And that's like in addition to like the games you already had?
Yeah, I already had. Yeah.
Okay. I guess.
It's like exasperating for you to think about how many N64 games I have.
Yeah.
These are just what I hadn't cleaned and shelved. But yeah, it took a while. So now on this table, I have 4 Game Gear games, 4 Game Boy games, PC Engine games, a Dreamcast game, 2 PS1 games, 2 original Xbox games, 3 PS3 games, 2 Xbox 360 games, 1 PS2 game, 1 Genesis game, and 1 Neo Geo game. Those still need to be cleaned, but that should be a lot less effort than 35 N64 games.
I just want to make sure really quick that, I mean, I'm finding this game to be kind of easy so far. I just want to make sure I'm not going to get like really humbled, like in a level or two. Is it generally pretty easy, like all the way through? Even for, I mean,
I'm assuming it's not necessarily that long because people were talking about how you need to be in like
levels.
one sitting or
There's
something.
at least 15 levels, at least according to the README.
Do you know what level number you're on?
I feel like I might be on like 6, maybe 5 or 6.
All of a sudden, like in the past minute, like a whole bunch of super chats. Thank you. $2 from Jonathan Henson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying for Tears of the Kingdom, I'm attempting to play through as much of the game on my own as I can.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing.
But I've been consulting guides and videos when I need to because it's my first open world game and I'm old. What's your stance on using guides? Should I be ashamed? Well, you know, it's not exactly been the same experience that we had playing Breath of the Wild, but we have been like talking like, oh, I was, you know, like where's this? Like, you know, like I figured out, like you were asking about the Great Fairies, and I was like, oh, I figured out, you know, where to start that quest. And,
yeah. See,
I found the Korok Seed NPC for the second time yesterday. You know, so we've shared like little bits of information like that, you know, which is, I think, in the spirit of the game.
Yes,
like
exactly. That's exactly it. You know, like I took the approach of like, I'm not going to look up anything. I'm not going to look up a single thing, and I'm only going to ask somebody who's like currently playing.
Right. It's like it's part of that shared gameplay experience that really made the first game magical. And I'm kind of doing the same thing where it's like, you know, like I'll ask someone who's like, you know, currently working their way through it, you know, like, but is also going in as blind as possible.
Yeah. I see really quick that, you know, that Alex Gavin says Tears of the Kingdom doesn't quite have the wow factor Breath of the Wild did. And it, like, I felt that exactly the same way, you know? I mean, it's you can't recreate that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know,
it's just like it's expanding and like basically taking that entire approach to the next level. Because but any way you look at it, it's like the Hyrule itself, like the actual ground level, is just like the map changed slightly.
But you know what? It's like it's been so long that like there are like things that I remember, but like for the most part, I'm not like, oh, I remember this exact same hill. This is the same.
But you know, like for better or worse, like that is what it is, and you know, like it doesn't matter that that's what it is, you know, like it's just them basically, you know, perfecting, I guess, like what they had before, which is totally expected, and like that's what it should be. It's just like taking.
But I will say that I am glad I didn't. You know, I've always felt a little regretful of the fact that I put only 75 hours into Breath of the Wild. because I felt like everyone I knew put in way more than that. And I never played any of the DLC. And because this does take place in an expanded version of the same Hyrule as before, and it is changed.
But it's like changed as in like, you know, like it almost like palette
quest structure is different. The core gameplay abilities are different.
Right.
But yeah, I mean the quests are different. How you can navigate to some places might be a little different.
The world map is essentially the same.
It's broadly the same.
And,
yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but that just means for me that it doesn't quite have that like holy cow, like this entire place is expansive like that, like, you know, and I still feel like that a lot of times in this game where unlike other open world games where you kind of like you're standing on a vista and you see all these hills and everything, it's kind of like, oh, I can go there. And right. I wonder like what'll happen. And I think like one of the best things about this is just how packed it is, but you never feel like there's a billion things on the map overwhelming you. It's just kind of like, oh, you know, it lets you go on an adventure.
You kind of just naturally complete things.
Yeah. Relatively
easily without like, it's like you make your own solutions basically, right? There's no like really complicated, like how do I figure it out kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
You know, once you kind of have a good grasp on your like core abilities, but you know, at the same time, like I say, I didn't overdo it with Breath of the Wild. I mean, the game absolutely blew me away, and you know, I think it's you know, one of, if not my top game, you know, from the past decade or so. You know, it's definitely a contender for the top spot, but I didn't overdo it. And you know, it's been 6 years since then,
right?
And so that has probably helped me, you know, not feel a lot of malaise with oh, this is cool. He's got like this cloud above him. But it's also I playing it has just really reinforced for me just how much better, like by a billion margins, it is to me than like any other open world. Like, and how in the 6 years in between, they put me in the same world with different abilities, and it's still just like, wow, like just nothing can compare to, like just nothing. Like it doesn't matter that the Switch is a much less powerful piece of hardware. They're doing all of this like systemic gameplay stuff and just the sheer scope of the world and just sheer number of things to find and do, and the way you just kind of organically complete tasks. It just nothing is anywhere close. And like I tend to not be a big open world guy because I like the idea of open worlds, not so much the execution. And these two Zelda games, the execution is there for me. Like this is what I want an open world to be. And that and also the fact that, you know, it is different enough though, in the sense that your core abilities really let you
I don't even know what happened there.
Really let you
oh, there's only 3 credits too. That makes me nervous.
Oh yes.
Oh geez, it's all I don't even know what happened there.
Oh, it looked like you just ran to the ceiling for some reason.
I know, but I couldn't like recover.
But anyway, I feel like the abilities like really kind of are almost
credits that don't run out. So there's unlimited continues.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate it.
I feel like the abilities are like really kind of almost a total reset and rethink of like how to navigate a 3D world, right? Like they provide you with the ability to come up with the solutions of like if you're like in a 3D space in a game and you're like, oh, why can't I just do this? If I could just like reach my hand through this, or if I could just move this over here, or put these things together. Well, you can do it, right? Like I was in this situation where I was at a tower,
Keep 'em coming, Captain. Jokes
and it
are great
was
today.
the entrance was blocked by thorns, but it was raining.
First, take out those
Yeah, I know
And-
what you're talking
all
about.
units,
You
break
have
it
to
And I'm like, ugh, like I can't burn it. So how do I get in? Well, I just took some wood and cobbled together a little shelter.
Yep.
Put it over the thorns and burned the thorns. Like in most video games, there would just be no solution to this problem.
Yeah.
Or I mean, there would be a solution, but like the situation wouldn't even exist because they don't give you the tools to invent a solution. So it's you know it's stuff like that that's just like
I don't feel like the rewind is like very heavily used. I feel like the rewind is more to get you out of situations if you screw up.
It can be, but it can also be used in essential ways. But it's not heavily used. But I'm sure there's also lots of uses where I'm like I'm not even thinking about it. You know, it's like like you know I bet I could be really surprised by the uses that there could be.
Yeah. All right, get back to the super chest because we're going to get sidetracked.
Yeah. But anyway, Jonathan Henson, there's nothing wrong with looking up guides. But I would say that the sense of discovery in these latest Zelda games is really high and really satisfying. So once you kind of, you know, the shrines in a lot of ways are meant to sort of train you to think about using the tools available to you and certain ways that you may have not considered before. So once you've kind of got a working framework of like how to approach the game and how to create your own solutions, I would try to do as much as you can, but there's nothing wrong with looking up guides. I do it all the time, especially for like more obtuse, you know, NES games or something like that. You know, so nothing wrong with that, but also know that these games are very, very different from like any other open world game. It's a totally different experience. I usually don't love open world games. These games do open world.
Yeah. You know, what is cool is that essentially after you get done with the intro area, it doesn't tell you that you can't do something. It just says...
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's how Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I think is nice. Nothing feels like gated in any way after you get that intro.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, you know, just treat it as in like you're... You know, I'm just going to go that way and see what I find.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is fun about it.
Yeah,
and the thing is that there is so much to find, and but it never feels like that boring, I guess, because
it never feels like there's so many things you have to do.
Yeah,
it's just that everything you do is just a nice little bonus. Like, oh, I got some cool monster parts I can fuse, or you know, oh, I found a shrine, and you know, I can now get an extra heart.
Yeah,
you know,
and you mark them on your map.
Nothing
is
really anything that you have to do. You're doing it because you want to do it. You know, it's your progress is. I always feel very strongly about the idea of progress being gated by skill and abilities,
certainly a lot,
more so than story events. Like there are times where like, oh, this NPC won't be here if you haven't done something.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the game is not gated by events, which is the standard way to do things.
All right. Okay. Get back.
Anyway, super chats. I really need to get back to it. But
yeah.
sorry about that. Wayne Jones-Zach donated $5. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying, had a glitching problem with my gaming systems. I fixed it by cleaning my HDMI ports on my TV, and it fixed the problem. Took 5 years to figure it out. Wow, you know.
You take some compressed air to him or something?
That's interesting. I mean,
what I like to do.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you can.
So
I mean, if you
put what I do is I take to clean out my HDMI ports. Is like I take my TV off the wall. I lay it down face down, and I pour some water in it, and use some Q-tips. You know, like really let the water like kind of pool up in the port, and then you know.
I knew you were going to take it in that direction. Like I was like, oh, here he's going to try his hand at one of those Chris stories where you know you just tell it so straight that it's almost impossible to not believe you, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. Anyway,
pressure washer. You know, we were borrowing my father-in-law's pressure washer. And my wife knows me so well. Like, we borrowed this pressure washer, and she's like, "Do you want to do this?" Like, I know, like, this is the kind of thing that you just enjoy doing. And of course, you know, I just am spraying everything with it. It's the same thing as like. It's the same thing as like weed whacking. I love weed whacking because like, you know, I'll weed whack all the things if I can. It's just fun to do that kind of stuff. All right, I'm done.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, you know, bad HDMI cables or just anything creating a bad connection can, you know, create those like sparkly sort of issues or an insufficient HDMI cable for it. So, you know, HDMI is not as on off as people said it was for a long time. You know, over the years we've kind of learned there's a lot more nuance to it. Like if everything is going through correctly, then it's going to be just as good as any, you know, as the experience could be. But there can be times where, you know, there are issues with the signals, so you know that kind of makes sense. Sometimes I think like when HDMI stuff comes with like the little plastic cover, like the first thing I do is like pull it off and throw it away. And sometimes I'm like, I wonder if I should keep some of these just in case like I need to keep dust out of something that I'm not using. You know? But anyway, sorry, it's so hard to keep going when everyone says something that you want to talk about. There was Tim Canadian from good old Happy Console Gamer. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully you're still here.
Hey, do you like video games?
I mean, kinda. I mean,
we like them pretty okay over here. No.
Go for the red ones. I don't have to do the.
You know, like it enough to, you know, probably be like the main like non-essential living expense thing that I you know put my thoughts and energy and money into.
Roger. Hawk Squadron, please proceed to reach point. Eagle and Falcon Squadron.
And then we got Seabass Nap with a $5 super chat. Going, Coury, congrats on FC Cincy being top ranked. Try NHL Game 5 tickets are under $200 while they last. Is that considered good? Is that considered a good price?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean for Game 5, yeah, probably. I don't know.
Later games are
it's
more
playoffs.
expensive.
Please mind the guns.
Oh, I wouldn't have known that. Also, when is Dreamcast RGB episode? I mean, we've been actively talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it's. I mean, I could see myself perhaps like, you know, working on that, like that little bit of a script that I already have like from ages ago.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind Dreamcast RGB being pretty soon just to have me in an episode because, unfortunately, even though I'm the one working on Analog Frontiers Part 4, we alternate the hosts in it. So, to people who don't watch the stream and don't know I'm the one editing Analog Frontiers.
There was some tweets saying to try quit the channel.
Yeah. People are going to be like, well, where's Try? But even though Analog Frontiers Part 4 is my effort, but it's not going to look that way to casual viewer. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have some subject soon that I can appear in, which Dreamcast would be a prime candidate.
Yeah.
But anyway. Also, $5 from Alex Gavin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying the rewind is useful when you move objects in combination with Ultra Hand. You can set traps, makeshift moving platforms, and what. Yeah, I can see that. You could make something fall and then lift it up when an enemy is coming by or something like that. I mean, I've used it in a few ways that was kind of unexpected. But
you got to be real good to be doing that kind of stuff. See, if I have one complaint about it is that, and I said this before, and people probably don't agree with me, but there's a lot of button combinations going on in this game.
Yeah,
and sometimes I'm activating my L button stuff when I don't mean to, or I have to think about all right, if I want to fuse this weapon, it's not something I'm gonna be able to I have a real hard time doing that kind of stuff on the fly. There's just I'm constantly afraid that when I want to throw an object that I'm accidentally gonna throw my weapon. Just there is a lot of button combination and button and D-pad and stick combinations happening all the time.
Yeah,
and that's kind of my main that's my main issue with the game.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's a pretty smooth experience, and you don't always have to engage with that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot to do on the controller, and I didn't even know about how you could just throw items. I would have saved a lot of arrows if I didn't realize I could just throw a bright bloom seed. I mean, of course you can get them to go further. You can get them to go a lot further with arrows, but anyway, yeah, I didn't even know you could throw items until I did a shrine where it's oh, hold R and then hit up to select an item to throw. But it is kind of awkward because it's you are it's still awkward because it's you are starting to throw your weapon.
Yeah, I know.
And it took me a little while to figure out did you swap your jump and?
Oh yeah. I mean,
I did too.
Everybody out. Short jumps.
It took me a bit to realize you hit, if you're starting to accidentally throw your weapon, you can hit the X button to cancel. Basically.
Yes.
So that it is a lot to do and a lot to remember. And if you want to change bows, you have to, but you have your sword out. You have to hold the bow button and then hit the right button.
I mean, that's the other thing is I feel bows because you can't you can fuse arrows, but you can't with the bows themselves. It makes them feel almost disposable and worthless. There's, I mean, yes, there's I don't know. You just don't feel there's a difference between them, really.
Something I discovered today is if you ever gotten a bow that does multi, that shoots more than one arrow at a time.
No.
If you get one of those and you attach an item to the arrow, it only uses one of the item.
Oh, that's cool.
So
2 arrows.
So if you have like a double or a triple arrow and you attach bombs to it, you only consume one bomb.
We just received
And
an
like
SOS
I
transmission
really
from a manned
cheesed
solar
like
probe.
some of like the
It
big
came under enemy
enemies,
fire near Venus during
like
its
a
return
like a
flight to Earth.
Talos or whatever. Like I cheesed
Head
a
to
couple
its
of
position and
enemies
effect
pretty
an immediate
good
rescue.
with
Since
with
Venus is
triple
also our
arrows.
destination,
Yeah.
please hold position at
So
position
now
zero
I'm
once you complete
saving
this objective.
I'm saving the like
of
multi-shot
luck.
bows for like pretty much just for bombs. There was $2 from Wayne Jones-Ack, who had the HDMI port problem, saying, "Sign isotopic alcohol." I don't know if I can't tell if you misspelled isopropyl alcohol or you're making a joke about radioactive alcohol being a good cleaning tool, but I approve either way. I am amused by the idea of radioactive alcohol.
Shadow Mask wants to interrupt the dialogue for a second.
Dear,
I'm gonna turn it
we
over
shouldn't
to
let our guard down.
Yeah, arriving at the mission
Is there
area.
essential dialogue here?
Well, just so people can hear it.
This is Solar Probe Umbrella. Our shields are
Apologize,
nearly
I'm
sapped.
talking so
Please
much
send help.
over.
Not good. Move it.
Break out.
Alex Gavin says Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom's the only game where wide jump makes sense because when climbing jump, being to the top line and B being drop makes sense. Also, Zelda's never been a jump game. I'm assuming you're using Xbox Y because you can't. There's no in-game function for saying it Y. It's the X button. I get what you mean, but like, see, like Final Fantasy 14, for example, that's not like a jump game either. And I'm fine with like the default of jump being on triangle. That's totally fine in that game. However, I don't like it in Zelda. And you know, Tears of the Kingdom, even though Zelda is traditionally not a jump game, like in a lot of ways, it's kind of a platformer. It tickles a lot of the same senses for me that a good platformer does. Like, you know, the sense of like nailing a landing exactly where you want it to be and stuff like that. Even though it's not about jumping so much and more about gliding, it kind of is a jump game, I think. And also like jumping to attack enemies. Like if to me it would feel awkward to like hit X and then Y. But like B, Y, like that's the, you know, that's the rhythm, you know, from in the same angle from A, B on the N64 controller that, you know, I've been doing, you know, for jump attacks ever since Ocarina of Time. So X jump is a big ask for me, personally.
Yeah, I just want to jump on B in like every game, even if it makes.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to jump on
boy,
B and attack.
As soon as Sakurai let us customize controls for Smash, and for the record, I've always gone for Smash. I've always gone to like the new current gen controller. I love the GameCube controller, but I've never been hung up on it for Smash. I've never liked C jump. I've never liked up jump. I've never liked X or Y jump in Smash. I want jump to be on the button. The jump is normally on in video games for that control. And as soon as you can put jump on B, boy howdy, I put jump on B. Like, so my Smash Ultimate controls are B jump, A regular attack, B special attack. And I just think that makes so much sense. But I'm also not like a heavy Smash player. So that obviously goes against like so many people's just like burned in muscle memory. But for me, it made the game so much more accessible to put the jump on a button that makes sense for jumping.
Yeah.
Were they? I can't say I noticed.
Anyway.
I mean, I feel passionate about putting the putting jump on
be human to kiss
B.
ass like one. Hell, I won't complain.
And B and attack. You know, some games try to put, you know,
Something's jumping out. Dead ahead.
you know, on the
Birdie,
outer
you
buttons,
take
on the
care
outer,
of
like
Bryce.
on X and A.
Brenda's caught in Venus's
You know, like the
gravity
same
well.
as like would be normally on Y and B.
Mhm.
Like some games have dabbled in doing that.
According to Hawk 2's
I-
AI
I-
unit,
I
Ensign
can,
Yeah,
Bryce
I
lost
mean-
function
consciousness.
a little bit.
I
Like
can
Moreover,
function with
the
jump
ship's control
on like
system has sustained
circle,
damage, and
like
is only barely
Yeah.
like
regaining
that's like
stability.
Kingdom
This
Hearts
is bad.
comes to mind.
Right,
It's a game
right.
that
Steep for a safe entry.
put jump on
Judging
circle.
by
I can
Hawk 2's
I can
payload
function with
entry
that,
and remaining shield
and
energy,
it's
the ship
not
will
that
withstand
different from
10
like
seconds of
Game
atmospheric
Boy,
friction.
for example, where
Yeah.
you know it's got that slant, and you know
There is one
the
option,
rightmost
Radio.
button
I'm
is
sending
jump.
something over now for your
It's
consideration.
not ideal, but I can deal. I can deal.
Edgar, I thought you
Um,
didn't do jokes.
It is a
Although now
function
that I think
option.
about it, I wonder if jump
You're
is
right.
X
It's this or else.
in Japanese Kingdom Hearts. Because
I don't know.
since the game is aesthetically at least a menu based, like it's still got the menu
Analyzing
hand
all
and you're
possibilities,
selecting the
we
attack
have
button,
determined but one
it would
course
make
of
sense
action
to
that
use
can risk the Ascent
confirm
right.
for attack.
Moreover, it will entail serious
So I wonder-
Is this level 9 that I'm on right now?
Um,
Shadow Mask, will you let me know when I get to stage 9? Because I don't think it tells me
Specifically
specifically what stage I'm on. I just want to make sure that I'm...
Okay,
Okay, is this a special
Oh, is
level?
there something
Like, is this
specific you
9?
gotta do?
For all ships deployed.
And when the field is in this expanded state,
Just want to make
it
sure,
creates a
because
slight
there's
trail.
special requirements on
Naturally,
stage
any
3,
matter within
9,
this
and
trail is
15
protected alongside it.
to
Hawk 2 has no
to get
real
the
way
real
of
end.
staying in this one spot right now.
jump
See
circle
where this is
on.
going?
Oh, sorry. Is this a
Now
special
then,
level then?
I'll
Or is
explain
it
the
this
plan.
level after this?
First, we'll
This might
approach
be
Hawk 2 from the rear. We'll then release
Yeah,
Maria
I can
and have
function
her
with jump
refuel
on
there.
circle.
From there, I'll use
I switched it
Hawk
to
2's
X.
generator to
Why
get
is
Like I
bad?
Put dodge and
You and
roll
Eddie do whatever you
on,
can to stay
and
inside
run
that trail.
in E's 8 and 9. I put it on
I shall
the R
dedicate most
trigger.
of my processing power to synchronizing our drop speed. We ask that you steer the ship to keep it solely within this margin.
But
Good luck, everyone.
but anyway, yes.
I'll just play from the carrier spikes. Okay, so I mean, if I see a carrier, this is fun.
But back to super chats. There was a $10 super chat from Andy64. Thank you.
2 meters.
Saying, hey guys, what are your expectations for the analog duo? Well,
ship's temperature
you
is
know,
rising.
fingers crossed we will, you know, be able to get review units ahead of launch.
Ensign Birdie, keep her steady.
You know, I am very interested, you know, to see their first CD based. That does look a little different. This looks like trying to calibrate the PSVR.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Jeez. It must be the next level. I assume this is level 8.
But anyway, I'm definitely interested on the CD aspect because you know, I did have actually a problem with my PC Engine CD drive not that long ago. So, you know, that's definitely of interest to me. Does anyone know, you know, we were in a conversation, you know, to be honest, I've not paid that close of attention to the whole like pre-order launch process and anything that has specifically been said about it yet. Do people know if you can use like EverDrives and stuff on it or like thicker hue cards?
I mean,
because
that's the thing. Like, it doesn't look it looks like there's a little ridge on the top where maybe the thicker hue cards could work. You know, like Street Fighter 2 could work, but it doesn't look like it's big enough for an EverDrive to fit in there. So, I mean,
Brenny, you okay?
Aw, thanks,
I don't know.
Maria.
It'll be
My neck
interesting.
is a bit sore.
yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
they'll have some sort of extension, but
hopefully
then
so, but
that's a lot of
I don't know if anyone
weight.
has.
Because you put those, it looks like you put
Thank
the
you,
hue cards
Edgar,
and they
but
go
I don't
way in
think you
there.
need to worry.
Yeah,
And Rob,
but hopefully,
don't know what to say.
hopefully you can. But I mean, I don't know if you actually, I'm assuming you don't necessarily have to use like
That's right,
system
Maria.
cards
All
for
in a
CD
day's
games.
work.
I'm assuming.
Captain?
But I mean, if you want that experience,
Right. But
Hey, Birdie. Way to
And-
make the rest of us look bad.
yeah, so I don't.
Hey, wait, Captain.
And didn't you also say that,
I was
or
worried.
I saw you say
Okay,
or
check on you
something, or
guys.
someone said somewhere like
But your
the
feather one
ODE
can't generate
portion
enough
of
force
the
to get off
new
this planet.
Turbo
Now you're
EverDrive
stuck here too.
won't work
to
if a
worry.
CD system is
They
attached.
finished
Am I correct
terraforming this
there?
planet about a
right?
year
I mean, it's
ago,
just
and now
like,
they're colonizing
you know,
it.
like the Sega CD and
Although you know what, I'm
I seem to
sure
remember they were trying
in
to mine
in
minerals.
the system
Exactly.
settings you can turn
As luck would
off
have it, they've got a
the
mass
CD
driver set
drive.
up
Like
on
you
the
can
equator.
make the system
I guess for the
blind to
sake
it.
of
being-
transporting resources
being-
as efficiently as
sure.
possible. Here, check the data.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they.
I mean, oh, and
I see.
what
This could
system
launch us
settings?
clear of the planet's
in
atmosphere.
the
That's great.
analog
I had
duo
no idea.
settings,
Well,
I
I'm
would
sure
be.
that they'll,
Break out the
yes,
champagne.
I'm sure they'll have an option where you can just like
right,
Before
but
I descended,
disable.
two
You can just
big
say like the
unidentified
CD drive is
objects were
not
launched
there,
off the
and
moon
that way
towards the
Hue card
colony.
games won't see
I doubt
the
they
Hue
were
card
housewarming
slot won't
gifts.
see that's there. You could
Meanwhile,
probably
the mass
run.
driver is
Totally.
attacking
Abs-
is non-operational.
definitely.
We
I'm
won't
sure
be
they'll
able
do
to
that.
leave
I mean,
this
I'm sure
planet after all.
that'll be the case. I'm just
Exactly
saying
right.
that
If we let them destroy
the,
that mass
the
driver, we'll
Turbo
be stuck
EverDrive
sitting
Pro
house
not
for a
working,
long time.
like the CD portion not working on a system when a CD
Not
is
good.
attached,
We have
is
multiple
not like
bogeys incoming.
out of the ordinary.
Gotta hand it to them.
You know, like
They
that's
work
not like
fast.
a downfall to it. Like
Maria,
that's just
You take Bright and escape to the colony
how it works.
ASAP.
Like, it can't work
Birdie,
that way. There's
you and
no
I
way
get to
around
play
it.
cleanup crew.
Alrighty.
Right.
Catch you on the flip side.
Just like it was with the
Captain.
Mega EverDrive Pro and
Rob,
the Mega
please
SD,
take care.
like working on a system with you can't can't run the CD core when the CD is on there.
I see a lot of confusion in the chat as to whether what mission you're on and any special objectives you have to do.
So this is 8, I think. That's all. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing like the level with the requirements to get like the true ending, because it doesn't tell you what mission you're on.
I mean, but if you end up getting a bad ending,
Then I end up getting a bad ending. That's fine. I'll just replay the whole thing with a mission script.
So anyway, sorry, these keep falling further behind. Almost caught up though. $5 super chat from Mega X6. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saying I've been getting back into fighting games the past few weeks and prepped for Street Fighter 6. I've been playing a lot of Guilty Gear Strive. It's been great.
That's the newest one, right? Guilty Gear Strive. That's the one. It looks like crazy good.
Is that the one where it's like
the 2D and it looks really really cool?
Right. Is that the one where it's like it's cell shaded graphics, but they don't have the in between animations? So it's like hard keyframes.
Right. Yes.
That does look really cool. The way
Yeah, it's such a cool use for it, and I think it looks. I don't own it. I never really played it, but I feel like in everything I've seen, it looks really authentic. That's cool. I didn't even realize the Street Fighter 6 was so close until like fairly recently. Like I'm not gonna buy it at launch. With 5, I'm still kind of sad they never came out with a version of 5 that has all the characters on disc. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't. But maybe they will. Maybe they would come out with a native PS5 version that has all of them. Probably not with 6 coming. Like they probably just don't even care.
Next up, there was two $2 super chats from I'll read the second one first, from Wayne, who informs me in the second super chat saying it's John first, then Zach.
Okay.
So is it John?
Zach.
See, I think I keep saying Joan, like Jones, but is it just John Zach? John
Yes.
Zach? Wayne John Zach?
Yes.
Like Garfield John.
Yes.
the first John anyone would think of. At least J or John. And then also said, "You guys are awesome. I watch you guys every week."
Oh,
well, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't watch me every week, but you know, there are a lot of you out there that watches every week for some reason, and I appreciate that.
I would like to restock with Kite 1, if I may.
It's
you
amazing.
know, I'm glad you're all getting so much use out of my support craft.
Yeah, I mean, Street Fighter 6 is like early June, I think, and then Mortal Kombat 1 was just announced, which is not a remake of 1. It's like the third. It's the third reboot, I think, at this point. But all within the continuity of the story. Like it rebooted, going from like Armageddon to Mortal Kombat. It was like 8 to 9 or 7 to 9. Because I think there isn't. Like it's weird how they figure that out, because because Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe is like technically.
I have downloaded
Mortal
new
Kombat
information on
9,
the unidentified objects from Garuda,
which is
I
like
shall summarize
ridiculous.
this intel along with the data we obtained through Kite 1's long-distance scan.
But they rebooted when they did
surface.
like the real 9.
They are now anchored in the ocean, approximately 30 kilometers
And
from
then
the
they
main
just
driver.
rebooted again.
These are
So
likely
it's the
enemy
second
assault divers. We believe it's only a matter of time before
within
they
the
commence
course
on
of 3 games.
and mass driver.
We've got to make do on our own. This could turn ugly
barely
quick.
put any time into it, but I do have Soul Calibur 6, and that wasn't that also kind of considered a reboot of sorts? Like it had like younger versions of the characters, like, you know, like how they would have closer to how they would have looked in like Soul Calibur 1.
There they are,
right?
clear as day. Whoa. Are they sticking out of the ocean?
So it would seem. They extend to the ocean floor.
We're gonna need some big tweezers to plug those things.
In other words, go for the
Confirming
yellow
numerous
target.
flying objects in the vicinity of the enemy vessels. They appear to be releasing boarded aircraft.
But it's
all right. Places,
Soul Calibur
everyone.
6 is considered.
What, you know, when I heard that they were making a more like they were going to call it Mortal Kombat 1, I thought maybe it being a restart of the timeline meant that it was going to go back to like the very first Mortal Kombat's competition. But it seems like there's returning characters, which wouldn't be possible if that was the case.
Wait, are they actually calling it Mortal Kombat 1?
Yes.
Like Xbox One?
The number 1.
Wow, okay. Huh.
So at the end of 11, like the story, like I blew my coworker's mind, who would likes Mortal Kombat, you know, like played it a bunch and like had Mortal Kombat 11, but never played like 9 or 10. And I'm like, you know, it has like a whole like story, you know, like it has a story mode. And he thought I was just talking about like arcade mode, because I told him, you know, I played through the Mortal Kombat 11 story, and he's like, why? You know, just thinking like I wanted to like see all the endings or something like that. But no, it has like a narrative story, and
like it's got like
scenes and like and it's like it's fun. Like if you're like into it, you know, like I think it's fairly enjoyable to just I put the game on easy and then play through the story. I think it's fun.
I mean, is it as entertaining as like a movie?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, I think it's well done. You know, it's like gotten, you know, I didn't play through 10, although I do have that like a PS Plus or whatever, like the PS Plus collection. It was one of those. I should probably play that. But I've only played the last one when I played through 11. And then, you know, like it doesn't really matter because I just started all over anyways.
There was a $2 super chat from David Zaney saying maybe because Lou was the chosen one. I don't know what that necessarily is a reference to.
Yeah.
Like the reason for the reboot?
Well, I mean, Liu Kang was like always supposed to win, and then I don't know when he like became like a zombie. But there's a whole like time travel aspect in this in 11, where it like brings versions of the characters from like their younger selves to like their older selves together.
That's one down.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. It's just kind of fun. And
what now?
The other vessel has followed suit.
it was because the Keeper of Time, Chronica, was like manipulating stuff, and Liu Kang basically became the Keeper of Time at the end. So he like restarted history.
Ah. So that's why. Like I didn't actually
but it's
watch.
Like, it's enjoyable nonsense. It's like convoluted, and that's probably why they're starting it over. But they're still like chained to.
Right. Well, because I saw someone say that kind of makes sense now why they had like the clock for the tease. I saw that, but I never actually saw the actual
the trailer for Mortal Kombat 11. I've watched it. Like I always go back to it every once in a while because it's like this, like it's kind of a fun like shot of nostalgia using the using the Mortal Kombat theme from the movie. It's I don't know, it's kind of fun. I found myself going back to that trailer every once in a while to watch it because the music is what makes it work.
That the way you put it now makes sense because like, you know, I still don't know if this is like really like truly confirmed, but like, you know how people like say that like, oh well, like Final Fantasy VII Remake like takes place after Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, like that it's technically Final Fantasy VII too.
Right, and then you know that like some sort of like, you know, live stream related, I suppose, like try again scenario is possibly happening, right?
Right.
You know, so I did see someone say something because I didn't watch the trailer and I don't know that much about Mortal Kombat lore. But I did see someone say something like, "Oh, like it's like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's like it is a reboot, but it's narratively after the most recent one."
Yes, but it was also rebooted in Part 9, where things got so messed up that Raiden went back in time to the time of Mortal Kombat of the first game, and the Mortal Kombat 9 like retells and changes the story of 1, 2, and 3.
There was a notification that Shadow Mask has been a member for 24 months in a row.
Oh.
Saying happy 12 months, dudes. I assume you mean second 12 months in your case. Saying I can't tell you what a treat it is. Blah, blah, blah. Can't tell. I can't tell you what a treat it is to hear the sound I've been obsessing over for 6 months shared on stream. Corey's killing it. Yeah, Shadow Mask was involved with sound mastering and I'm sure other sound related tasks for both
sure
this and Bulk Slash. So
yes.
congratulations on this work getting out there.
Yeah, exactly, and you know, like stuff like this, it's so impressive to me because it's like such a work of passion. Because they're not making money off any of this stuff. It's just they want to do it, and you know, it's just really impressive, like how much like passion it takes to make a project like this, like so thoroughly fleshed out too. You know, it's not just like translating text. There's like so many different layers to it.
But you know what? Like, I bet you know, people who have done voice acting for this and Bulk Slash, I mean, you know, these are, you know, things they can put on their resume, right?
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
so it's.
I'm sure that they yeah.
You know, these are, you know, even though they're just work of passions, because you can't really make money
Right.
off of this.
But I
And
mean,
it,
that just
and
goes
it went
to
to
show
my
you,
knowledge, not easily.
It's hard keeping cool. This
You know,
goes-
but it is still like, you know, even though it's a work of passion, you know, I think it's probably valuable experience, really, for a lot of people involved. Because they're executing it on such a professional level, you know?
Yeah.
Hurry it up, Birdie.
It's pretty stunning.
Otherwise, we'll be stranded here.
I see we've got a $4 from Junko988.
Oh,
Thank you. With a really easy question. Choose only one F-Zero game for the rest of
The
your
solar
life.
probe has aided us in conducting a detailed
F-Zero
scan of the
GX.
moon, revealing an enemy base.
Yeah, definitely.
This one is larger
F-Zero
than its
GX.
frontline base and appears to have some sort of enormous structure
I mean,
at its
I
center.
find
Imagine
We believe it
every
is a
single
staging
game you
site for an
played,
attack
like the
against
entire
Earth.
soundtrack was
We must neutralize this
replaced
base
with
for Earth's sake, as
the
well as to
character
protect the
theme
Venus colony.
songs
Therefore, we will launch an assault
from
with
F-Zero
every
GX.
fighter
I mean,
aboard this carrier.
the amount of
The enemy base
content
is built in a
in
radial
GX is
structure
like
on
is
the
is
moon's surface,
unbelievable,
with several
honestly.
battleships positioned around it.
And also doing all
As
those
with the
theme
frontline
songs,
base,
which
it
I
appears
think
I know,
is
it's like
it
the-
feels like
the
the most
into energy,
unnecessary thing
which it is
that they just
amassing
did
in a
because they
central
wanted
tower.
to do it.
yeah, I mean, it's
If we approach
that
from
is
above, we
one
risk
of
coming under concentrated fire
the
from
most
those battleships.
unbelievable
Therefore,
things
please
in
make your
video
descent
games
at a
that's
distance.
ever gotten
Stay low
past
to the
whoever
ground.
approves the
Infiltrate
budgets.
and attack.
Yeah.
like,
I mean-
like, oh yeah, we need a theme song for all 30 F-Zero characters
Yes, with lyrics.
with lyrics. like we need this. Like this game, like will not make more money for having this or not having this, but we're going to expend the money to do this. Like this is just how it is. We're doing it. But yeah, I mean, but that said, I do find, I guess just because, especially just because it's a cartridge game, I guess. Like in some ways, I find it easier to just pop in F-Zero X though,
Shall we then?
and just like play it a little bit. It's just, it feels like it's, you know, it's just a little quicker getting into it than F-Zero GX. Not that, you know,
And once again, they
Nintendo
expect
games
Space
were very
Command to
good
take
about
down
load
a whole
times.
base.
Same song, new day. What's holding up the
stuff.
fleet?
I actually saw, I think it was in the MLiG
Mission area. Jump in.
Discord channel. I saw something in there somewhere today.
That's good.
Or
that's
someone
awesome right there.
posted a
Stay
quote
close to the
from
ground.
Enemy base confirmed. Straight ahead.
what's his
Whoa.
face, the
Might as well stop by since
you know,
we're in the
the
neighborhood.
not Nagoshi
Yeah.
from
Hawk Squadron,
Sega,
full speed
saying
ahead.
that like after they finished F-Zero GX, like
start with those
Nintendo
battleships.
requested the source code because they could not believe that they made that game as quickly as they did and for the budget that they did, and for it to come out like as technically impressive as it was.
Yeah.
They wanted to know. They wanted to know
How they did that.
how they did that.
But I mean, that's
what
the
was the
thing.
team
Is
called
like
back
those
then?
that team was like, you know, like that's
amusement video, right?
yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, we've gone to do like the Yakuza games. Like, I mean, that just like is pretty amazing that they continue to do like impressive stuff like that. You know, like as quickly as they did.
Mr. D says, of course it's easy to try. You just keep all your N64 games on the table. No, only 35 of them. 35 of the ones that I purchased within the past year. A lot of those were really cheap Japanese games, by the way. But yeah, I as far as F-Zero goes, I've never been like passionate about any of the of the 2D F-Zero games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have learned to like F-Zero 1 and well enough, and I learned to like Maximum Velocity on GBA. And I actually kind of enjoyed GP Legend as well. But I find, especially GP Legend, I find hard to go back to, but I was able to get into it at the time. But yeah, it's just F-Zero is a series, and I don't know, racing games in general is like a genre that's like always been better and improved. You know?
Yeah.
So I think those are the F-Zero games that have worked the best. And then there was also a $5 super chat from Siswiv.
Oh.
Saying, is there like a Patreon that we can support that Saturn community / whatever community did this effort has been going? That did this effort. Thanks for the stream, y'all.
I'm sure there's many people in here that could answer that question.
Yeah, I see Shadowmouse saying, I think we've considered launching a Patreon. If you follow Sega Saturn Shiro, there you'll see if and when we launch one. Yeah, you know, I mean, something that's really kind of blown my mind recently is the emergence of people being able to fund not only themselves, but also like hired help or just outright employees through just pure crowd-funded passion, like, you know, Hotego for instance. You know, Hotego has a team.
Yeah.
Like, people are so passionate about Hotego's arcade core work that his Patreon funds him to spend his time, you know, as his own employee doing that, and the time of other people is like employees of like Hotego Corp or whatever, you know, it's called. Like it's like a business, right? Like, I don't know that much details about it, but that's my impression, right? And that's just because, and whoever would have thought that, like, you know, like developing an emulator for free use could be so, you know, people are just so passionate about that. And, you know, obviously he has proven that he and the people that he works with have the chops to pull it off.
Yeah.
That's incredible to me. And so I you know, I could see, you know, these sorts of you know, fan translation projects also, you know, having some success like that as well. You know, it's hard to say how far it could go, but the idea that you know, people who have proven themselves at being really good at this kind of stuff can you know, get such impactful crowdfunding like that is really awesome, I think. Like, I never considered that was possible for that field until I saw what Hotego was doing.
Right.
And I'm not sure if, like, Vitor Vilela, I'm not sure if he is perhaps similar. I think he's got a pretty successful Patreon as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Drop this control and, like, now like my L button does not click. It works.
Oh no! You mean you dropped it like during playing or sometime?
Yeah, and I just.
Birdie, we're going in.
And it still activates and I
We
push
need to
on
perform a
it.
more
There's
thorough
no
scan
click to it.
first.
You might have to open it up and clean it a little.
It's not even cleaning.
That's why
It's
we
like
have assault fields on these babies.
Well, what I
that's
mean is
the
like
main
maybe
problem
some
with
like
these wireless retro
maybe.
bit is that I feel like the L and R buttons, they just feel really shallow and don't really click that well. But now it's like
I mean, L and R buttons on Saturn controllers have never really been too good feeling. They're basically like having double
going inside.
Oh man, here we go. It's basically like having double GameCube Z buttons, but a little bigger in terms of how they feel. Well, this makes me think of
let us proceed forward for now.
like going down into the last corridor in before Andros and Star Fox 64.
There is a large open space ahead.
Large open space. We're going to the center of the planet.
Obstruction incoming. Please reduce your speed. I detect a high concentration of energy here. It would appear this
Please
is
reduce
where
your
conversion
speed.
takes place.
That was close.
Destroy the energy converter support struts. I will place markers on your display. All other locations have reinforced armor and are not susceptible to attack.
Low.
You know, it's really cool seeing these like interior spaces.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So much of the game doesn't have that, and
so the energy is not my health; it's just my shield.
oh, okay.
All right.
I mean, spaceships don't have health.
solar-
Corey.
That's gonna annoy
They're
me.
not
That's
biological.
no click on it.
Um.
I mean, the other one has a little bit of.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really technically impressive game. I mean, you know, I'm by no means a Saturn expert, but this is one of the just more impressively put together Saturn games I've ever seen. It just looks so smooth and so good, and you know,
how's it looking on your end?
you know, often puts you inside the action in a really appealing way, like just the way that you like fly out of the ship and just flying along your teammates here.
Should I try? Should I switch over
again,
to
they expect Space Command
mission
to
stick
take
and see
down
if
a
it works hot
Same
swapping?
song, new day.
I'm gonna do it because you know if I don't beat it, it doesn't matter. If it freezes the game, it freezes the game, and then we learn something.
Why would it do that? Why? I mean, is there any risk? Why would there be a risk of that? I can't think of.
I don't know.
I can't think of a game or a system where hot swap. I mean, some games won't boot unless you have a controller plugged in, and then you have to like reset after you plug a controller in. But I've never heard of like, unless you just like bumped the system in a funny way. Like I've never heard of that causing a game to crash or anything.
Look at that. All right, we're gonna try it. All right.
The fleet. They should
So I
be
assume
pretty
my
close by now.
thing on the top here, I can speed up and slow down using that, and then be in.
It seems risky to me to try another controller at this point in the game, after you've been used to the
close to the ground.
controls.
Yeah, I have unlimited continues. So I just switch back.
Straight ahead.
Well, might as well stop by since we're in the neighborhood. Hawk Squadron, full speed
The
ahead.
camera work in this game is just really good. Just everything moves really
Let's
smoothly.
start with those
and
battleships.
There's about a gazillion of those gun turrets centered around the base. Be careful.
GameSec says double tap the R button to speed up.
Oh, but it puts. I want the trigger in the front to be my lasers, not the B and C on the back. I want this to be. So there's nothing. Probably get in the button settings and change that.
GameSack says missiles are better than the wimpy lasers.
Yeah.
But do you have a limited number?
I think that's what energy is, then, maybe. I always thought I had shield and then energy. I mean, I guess that doesn't show you how much I know. Not a whole lot. It does feel pretty good, though. I wish that you could use the throttle on the top, though. Then you could just like play it with one hand. This feels like backwards to me the way I'm playing it. Like I want the. I'm gonna switch the sides. All right.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
And
I'm about to. I'm switching sides. I don't know why I have it this way.
I mean, I don't know anything about this controller, so
with
is it
stick,
modular
you
in some way?
Look at this. I'm switching the sides.
Show us the controller, right? Because I don't really know anything about this.
Well, I mean, I'm trying here. So
I see. So you can put it on the left. So it's like a left-handed or right-handed.
Yeah. I gotta take the screws out though.
Oh, we got an 11 reals super chat from Gregorio Oliveira. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Saying, hi guys, greetings from Brazil. Loved your videos about controllers. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. Those are always some of our most popular videos. People love to see controllers and talk about controllers.
Yep.
That's good.
that is good. You know, thinking about, you know, not to not to get into more Zelda related talk than this stream has already had. But you know, just thinking about how good this game looks and how great the presentation is and how, you know, I can say that even though it's, you know, a Sega Saturn game, you know, just made me think about how I've often seen several. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm trying to avoid like much of any, you know, Zelda talk on the internet because I like discovering things for myself. But you know, you can't help but see something every now and then. I've seen, you know, a number of places something written like, you know, like, oh, you know, Zelda is a masterpiece, but it's so ugly. And I'm just like, dude,
I don't think it's ugly at all.
What makes people like John kind of went on a rant about this in DF Direct as well. Like, you know, people were like, oh, well, you know, Zelda's only 30 frames per second and has frame drops and, you know, it's 720p a lot of the time. Like, why does it get a pass? But, you know, Redfall on Xbox doesn't. And John's like,
that feels
it is completely different hardware. The expectations are completely different. Of course it's going to be judged different. It doesn't mean like just because like there's new hardware out that can do this doesn't mean that everything that can't do it is all of a sudden out of date, all of a sudden ugly. It doesn't mean that as soon as there is a game that, you know, is, you know, pushing, you know, certain technologies at a high frame rate, that everything that doesn't achieve that is all of a sudden just not impressive anymore. Like,
oh, maybe this
Tears of the Kingdom is blowing my mind for the fact that it's on Switch, and I've been saying for a long time now that like, you know, I'm not that excited about playing a similar game to the last game on the same hardware because I didn't feel like it was going to be possible for them to advance it, really. And yet they've done all kinds of like really impressive things in it, and just it's the art direction and the use of color everything is gorgeous. I mean, yeah, it's got some jaggy shadows. Yeah, the resolution isn't that high. Yeah, it has, you know.
I don't know. The entire time I've looked at it, I felt like it's like impressed me the entire time. Just like how far you can see, and just like, you know, I like just standing there and like the sun's coming up. The way the lighting works, like it works for me. Like
the lighting looks beautiful. I mean, just the use of color. I mean, it's so well put together and so well presented, and I think, you know, just goes to show the value of just like really smart coding that they're able to achieve what they have. I am so impressed that they pulled this off on Switch. So I was talking about this last week, but like I am now glad that it ended up being a Switch game, because for a long time I was like, oh, I just want the next Zelda game to be on the next hardware because it'll be more impressive. Yeah. But I am impressed that they pulled off what they did on the Switch. And if they pulled off the exact same thing on much more powerful hardware, sure, I would be enjoying the game, but I would probably be less impressed. And the fact that people can't put games into the context of their hardware, like, are those same people looking at this game and saying, oh, this is really ugly. Yeah. This isn't impressive at all. But this is beautiful. And
nobody should want to play this. For
yeah,
any
this
reason.
Is beautiful.
You know, games, you should only play games that look good.
or
like whatever standard you have built up in your head. Like those are the only games you should play.
But the thing is, a game that is well made for any given piece of hardware that's like really achieves its goals for that hardware or that level of hardware, will, in my opinion, always be a good one. You know?
Yeah.
You know, that's how I can look at NES games and just be like, oh, wow, that's really cool what they did there. And it's not like I even have like a deep, intimate understanding of how these consoles function, and I'm not a programmer or anything, but I have a working knowledge of like what you tend to see done on these systems, and, you know, that, you know, oh, this is kind of unusual that they pulled this off or whatever. You know, you know, the context of the hardware it's designed for, it'll always impress me. You know, I don't think I talk about it on streaming. I don't want to talk about much because I don't want to spoil anything that happens in the game. But a day or two before Zelda came out, I actually decided to knock out, you know, one of my beat pledges for 2023, which I'm behind on. But I did one of the ones that I picked as very much a gimme, because I knew it was like a single night game. And that was Inside. Mm-hmm. And it was great. I was very impressed. And part of that was, you know, here's a game that, you know, yeah, it's on PC, yeah, it's on Xbox One, but I played the PS4 version. And here's the game that came out before 4K consoles were a thing. So it doesn't have like a 4K mode. And, you know, the anti-aliasing quality could be a little better. But for the most part, aside from a few moments where, you know, you can maybe see a little aliasing, for the most part, the way that the image is constructed, the way that the shadows and the lighting really stood out to me inside. Where just like every inch of the game was designed very carefully to look good at all times. And this is a Unity game. And it really goes to show, like, you know, when the tools are in the right hands, right? Like what can be done. And it doesn't have like the common artifacts that you would associate with most games. Like, sure, in almost any game, if you look at a shadow close enough, there's going to be some jaggedness. You know, there's always going to be some moment, you know, the reflections are going to have screen space artifacts and stuff like that. But they go to great lengths to make reflections look good almost all the time, where they actually like reflect the geometry. You know, I think that's the term is planar reflections. I think, you know, the reflections always look good, the lighting always looks good, the shadows, except for like one time I noticed, the shadows basically never look jagged. There's always these like nice particle effects that play with the lighting in really cool ways. Like that was a game that targeted that like
mission stick might have like a drift. Look at it.
Oh yeah, yikes. That's a little dicey. But they targeted like, you know, Xbox One, PS4 class, standard PS4 class hardware so successful that they didn't try to do anything that was like beyond their budget and skill and ability to create. And as a result, like they weren't pushing too hard for technologies that they weren't ready to implement. You know, in 100% satisfaction.
That worked, Henry Clark. Thanks.
And oh yeah, okay. So it does like the N64 GameCube style calibration. But anyway, I feel like that is a game that is going to age extraordinarily well because it doesn't feel like it overshot the capabilities of the hardware or attempted to overshoot the capabilities of the hardware in any way. It was just very technically sound. You know, just all aspects looked good at all times. It was a Unity. Like, that's amazing. So, you know, if something is designed well for the hardware that it is for, then I think a game like that will always look good. And people who think that, like, you know, like, oh, I can't go back to this
am I gonna fly out of here?
I can't go back to these older graphics techniques. Like, I don't know if those people even understand or appreciate graphics, because like you should be able to look at a Sega Saturn game and understand. Like,
did I have to fly out of there, or what did I have to do?
Do you have to fly up? Can you?
I don't know. It just says there was a powerful. Oh.
Shabbat says this is not the level of
conducting a detailed scan of Venus's moon, revealing an enemy base.
No, I'm doing fine, I think.
This one.
Like, did you have to go up from where you came?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were like limited in being able to angle up that way or not.
That's okay. I felt like I was gonna do that, but at the same time I didn't know if it would do like an autopilot, like as just to get me going, or what. Yeah, it didn't even say, you know, it just says a powerful energy signature has been detected, and then it doesn't say, you know, get out of there.
Mission area coordinates confirmed. Initiating jump.
Yeah, imagine this with 3 continues. That'd be pretty intense because, you know, I'm.
Yeah.
Is this the final level?
No.
I'm actually pretty surprised this ended up lasting the whole stream.
What's holding up the
Yeah.
It's
I
a
mean, I
meatier game than
it's
I
10:30.
expected.
I don't know if I'll be able to finish it.
Jumping out.
Is 15 the last level?
What number are you on?
I think I might be in 10.
Oh, wow.
Here goes. Stay close to the ground.
Enemy base confirmed. Straight ahead.
Well,
they
they were saying in the chat that they included saves for every level, so you can if you wanted to continue, if you wanted to finish it off stream later, you always could.
Yeah, well, there's no. You gotta do it in one sitting.
Oh.
It's okay.
But you can always play again to capture footage for the games we played.
Yeah, exactly. See if I can do this faster now that I know there is a stage select, you know, using the save file that came in the zip file I downloaded, but still, like, I mean, I'm not. That's okay. I'd rather do it legit. And if I don't finish it in this room, that's okay. It's not gonna. Then people can download it themselves and experience like what actually happened.
Yeah.
I do like playing it with the mission stick.
Oh yeah,
You know, you know what it makes me think of. This game does. I used to play on when I played a lot of PC games. You know, like when I was like in early college, I played a lot of. Used to use my my Microsoft Sidewinder flight stick to play Descent Free Space 2, which felt a lot like this. I used to play Descent Free Space 2 and listen to the Macross Plus soundtrack.
Hey, Sandy. What's going on? What you doing?
That's exactly. I was just listening to Information High like over and over and over again.
What?
I'll still go back. Why is that not? I guess that has gotten Blu-ray releases, but don't they have like a new version coming, or it hasn't gotten like an official Blu-ray release in the U.S. or something? Sure, I'm sure you can. You know all about it. I know there is a movie version of it, but I just like the 4-part series. Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, the Blu-ray is just in Japan. I mean, does that have to do with like was it like Harmony Gold or whatever that was the one that owned like the license for like ever? Were they just like not allowing a? Okay, yeah. Stefan is saying, you know, it's like due to Harmony Gold, like they were the problem, but they don't have it anymore, right? It's been taken from them. That's awesome. I mean, I would definitely buy that. You know, there's not a ton of anime these days that and it's all like old stuff. I feel like that's the only stuff I like watching. Yes. But Macross Plus is definitely a favorite of
The central tower
mine. And a big reason for why I like it is because of the scene, the Information High scene towards the end there. I mean, the music is like almost makes it completely. I mean, I don't know if it's fair to say that or whatever, but I feel like if it wasn't for the soundtrack, it wouldn't be nearly as loved.
I feel like after I talked so much about Zelda this stream, I've run out of things to say.
You've run out of things to say about it.
About anything. Like I'm just like, well, I don't know what I feel like talking about.
What else is there? Yes.
What else is there? I've talked a lot about this game and how impressive it is. I've talked a lot about Zelda. We talked a bit about what buttons are acceptable for junk. I've talked about how I finally cleaned 35 N64 games that were, many of which were sitting on this table for the better part of a year.
So is all your stuff been put away now? I wanted to talk to you about. So you ran into the same problem with the audio dropouts with that switcher as that I did. Eventually.
Yeah, well, I say it was the same problems. I mean, so
it was
like I said, I went to my parents' house when I started Zelda. So I'd previously hooked up the Switch through the 16 input test smart switcher, and I played like an hour of Mario Kart 8, which does support surround sound but uses it pretty lightly, but I don't know why that would matter. But I played an hour of Mario Kart 8 and had no issues.
Right.
That I noticed, I mean, there is like silence between like in the loading between stages and stuff. And you experienced all of your errors while playing Metroid Prime.
Right.
I didn't want. I mean, you know, I finished Metroid Prime Remastered. It's like I don't feel like playing Metroid Prime now. You know, so it's like Mario Kart just seemed. I had a lot of catching up to do on the DLC anyway. So Mario Kart just seemed like a good game to test. But it had no issues. But yeah, as soon as I got back from my parents. And put in Zelda. Yeah, I had like maybe 3 1-second drops in an hour or less. Like they were. You said that in your case they could be like it could be out for like 30 seconds. Like
yeah, I mean there was a couple of times where it was out for a really long time.
I detect a high concentration of energy here. It would appear this
not super normal for that to happen. But I mean, just the fact that it happened was enough to.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you stopped. You switched. You plugged it in directly. Like it's
correct. Well. This is so silly because it's like not even announced, and I don't even know if there will be like a compelling reason to keep like the current Switch or Switch dock plugged in when like Nintendo's next system comes out. But like what I did was I plugged. So as I've said before, unfortunately my new AV receiver only outputs the first 4 inputs over zone 2. So I can, if I want to capture it, I can only use zones 1 through 4.
Oh, come on! Shoot! Grab.
Oh!
No, hang on! I'm not dead yet. Punch it, Chewie.
Oh!
I am not dead yet.
In the words of Lando Calrissian, or whatever he said.
We have no choice.
Or in the words of Anakin Skywalker, now this is pod racing.
Hang on. Oh! I thought for sure I was like, oh, am I supposed to blow that up?
In the words of Neon Nub.
Edgar, let's get the hell out of here.
Understood.
Jeez. I feel like I smoke a cigarette after that.
Get out your fake stogie.
There it is. All right.
Yeah. So good for woofing at. What was I talking about before things got exciting?
Oh, I don't know.
Having taken the
Zelda?
enemy staging outpost, we, the Joint Space Command, have left Venus in our wake and just arrived at the verdant
I'm
first
trying to
planet
scroll
in our
up in the
solar
chat to
system,
see if they would
Mercury.
respond to anything that could.
We are now restocking on supplies and
help me
fuel from a
remember what I
container
was
ship
talking
in
about. What was I
preparation for
talking
the
about?
decisive battle that awaits once we've regrouped with the UNSF, whose arrival is also imminent.
I don't
It's
know.
the perfect
I'm sure that
time
people
for
can
something to go wrong.
get you back on track here.
No.
I was too focused on almost dying there.
Kendrick Clark says, I love that Sadie is always part of the peanut gallery for a good joke. She doesn't want to feel left out when everyone else is making loud noises.
That's a good highlight. I feel like that is something that can go in that end of the year video.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an enemy ambush. Garuda is currently docked to a container ship.
Audio
yeah,
drop
the audio
out.
dropout stuff. Yeah. So So I have
However,
to
we
use
cannot
inputs
abandon it
1
while
through
it is
4,
unarmed.
and I was
Hawk
trying
Eagle
to put
squadrons
as
deploy
much.
all units
So
at once.
I
Intercept
did
the
get
enemy
this
at all
box
costs.
from Denon that is an HDMI, a three in, one out HDMI 2.1 switcher that's designed to go with, you know, the receivers, you know, so it's pretty reliable. I did every once in a while have a small issue with like PS5 just dropping out, and it was more likely a cable issue probably. But I kind of thought, well, you know what? If I'm running so much through this 16 input switcher, I'll hold on to this 2.1 switcher.
Once complete,
I'll
the container ship
probably
will
need it in the
vacate
future.
area via autopilot.
But for now, why don't I just
Guard
connect
that ship at all
Series
costs.
X and PS5 directly? And, you know, maybe I'll need a HDMI 2.1 for the next Switch. So I'll leave a space open for that. And I'll just try to get away with not even having to use that switcher for now. And run everything else, everything that's not current gen, run it through that 16 input switcher.
I'll be here looking after Garuda.
And
Break a leg, Robbie.
I am daisy chaining 2 other switchers to the 16 inch.
Break a circuit, Eddie.
But I did have the switch. This is a direct connection. And yeah, it does. When it surround sound, I guess, for whatever reason, it drops out every now and then. And yeah, so.
And it's annoying. It's annoying enough to be.
Like,
it's
sometimes
totally it happens a whole bunch.
It's totally unacceptable, but it's just like you wish that there was a solution for it, but there doesn't seem.
The solution is getting a inferior version of the switcher.
Yeah, give Test Mart more money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Like, I like the Switch. Like, if it wasn't for that, it would be like it'd be perfect, really. But I mean, I was gonna have to get another one of those anyways to like accommodate everything I have. I'm just sad that there's no longer a 16 input 4K 30 version. Or else I would have probably sprung for that just to be future proof. But the way I have it is that I use like the 16 input. That, you know, I use it for things that don't require surround sound.
Right.
So that's like retro, call them like retro HD stuff. And then the 8 input switcher, the 4K 30 has like it's like things that are 1080p and below.
But you surround sound.
Yes.
Like Switch. Yeah, so I moved. So in other words, since I had kept an open space on the switcher for, you know, a theoretical new Nintendo system that could output 4K, I had that empty spot, so I put the Switch on it. So when the new Switch does come out, I may end up, you know, going back to using that Denon 3-in input 2.1 switcher.
Mm-hmm. See, Joe says he just got an Atomos Ninja
just an Atomos 5 Plus, and
did you trade in your 5 for you had a 5 before, but you just traded in for the 5 Plus?
I mean, I don't know if he's saying he just got that. I mean, he said just.
I'm pretty
get.
sure he had a
I thought
Ninja
he was like
5,
making a suggestion,
like not the Plus.
like, hey, just get it. Just get this expensive. Unfortunately, my understanding of the Ninja 5 Plus is that while it does have 4K 120 capabilities, it's only with like specific cameras. Like, my understanding is that you cannot use like 4K 120 with a PS5 or a Series X, which is very disappointing.
That'll be the Ninja 6.
If you could do that with a Ninja 5 Plus, I would buy it. But yeah, I'm just keeping an eye out for when Atomos finally might actually deliver, you know, a true HDMI 2.1 device that would work with all the features of PS5 and Series X. Like, I want to be able to use, you know, 4K 120. I want to be able to use VRR while playing and capturing. See, Joe, I don't really care about 120 FPS. I don't care about 120 FPS, but I do care about 120 hertz because I've done a good bit of testing with like some of the PS5 games that support 40 FPS modes. And I think that's going to become pretty essential going forward, especially as games start to push the console even harder. I think that those 40 FPS modes are going to be really essential to, getting all the visual features like ray tracing and stuff, but also getting like a really nice frame rate. It's pretty cool looking, actually. I think 40 FPS is pretty neat. Sure, it's not going to look ideal when like presented in video capture because you're going to be doing 40 FPS on a 60 hertz container for video output. But just for my own pleasure in playing, it is pretty neat, and it sucks that I can't record while doing
Mind the aftershock as they jump out.
So I would really like the capability to record while just playing for my own enjoyment. Record 40 hertz because I've like kind of written off doing capture while playing for basically anything that is more than 4K 60 without HDR. Like I'm just going to like go back and record footage for those games later because I want to use features like 40 FPS or HDR.
Well, I saw a tweet recently from Boss Fox saying HDMI 2.1 capture cards are coming.
Oh really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Enemy forces are grouped.
I didn't see that.
I don't know the deets.
We will send squadrons consisting of a few ships each to simultaneously
was this a video that just came out?
It's not a video. It's just a tweet.
All fighters take point and destroy the enemy ships so our allied fleet can proceed ahead.
I'm going to twitter.com/epos.
But he didn't say anything other than that.
I know,
Best
but
of luck.
was it how recent was it?
That's probably like last week. I don't know. Like I barely use Twitter, but sometimes I'll go to it. Because in the app that I use for like multiple clients, like my Shift app, which uses like web versions of different stuff, like TweetDeck still works in that. As soon as TweetDeck stops working, I'll probably stop using it.
All Hawk Squadron units assembled. Captain Virgil, Captain
Let's see,
Field,
okay.
let's do this.
Search for it. He said, when was this? Well, this was September last year.
Yeah.
He says, Yuan, which is a company I don't know. Yuan finally has a HDMI 2.1 capture card listed, which means we should finally see some progress on this front next year.
4 years of your BS, I can
That was from last year. I'm just saying he said
What's
like
that
last week.
supposed to mean? Am I so bad?
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, here we go.
Now arriving at the mission area.
Okay, yeah, May 14th. New HDMI 2.1 capture cards are finally coming soon!
That's exactly what I said he said.
And then someone responded saying, exciting! Maybe they will use 16x PCIe? And he said, I sure hope not. The number, I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot, like the number of available PCIe slots on current motherboards is really annoying.
Yeah. If you want to have more than one capture card in it, and I like to have a dedicated sound card also.
Yeah.
For like recording, like and outputting different stuff. Like I use that for send you audio and send audio to the stream separately. And it's expensive to get a motherboard that has that many inputs on it now. Like that many of the correct size PCI Express lanes or whatever. I don't know. Which is definitely what's made me just like every time I think about upgrading, or building a new system, I'm just like, yeah, I just do have no desire to screw with that.
Yeah, well, I mean
like that's that's the same thing as like, what's happened with me with like receivers and stuff. It's just like, I got things working pretty darn good here. Like I just don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, well,
it does everything I need it to do.
I mean, you're going to have, I mean, all of your cables, once you go to HDMI 2.1, all of your cables that run to your TV and run to your capture card or anywhere else, ain't going to be no good no more.
I have a lot of certified HDMI 2.1 cables like in there.
Oh, I bet they all suck. I guarantee it. I've had a lot of I've had trouble with HDMI 2.1 cables.
Okay.
And you have no way to know whether they're actually doing what they claim to be able to do. Which
but
brand?
You don't think the certification means anything anymore? Like the QR code on there, like the certification.
I don't know. I mean, what brand are they? Did you get?
I know that I have
the ultra high speed.
Like I use the Zeskit ones.
See, I've had trouble with those.
But those are the ones that what's his face from HD TV Review like recommends too.
Well, that guy also doesn't really care about video games. So he's probably not very often running. First of all, he's probably not very often running full bandwidth through and for long enough to really determine if there'd be a problem. Because I have had trouble with PS5 specifically. Xbox, not so much. But PS5, like I'll just get a black screen every now and then.
Okay, I will say that I have had like no problems with like dropout with these cables.
But you're not pushing HDMI 2.1.
Okay, well you know what?
If you're not pushing it, then they're going to be fine.
Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm just never going to do HDMI 2.1. I'm just going to stay exactly how I am, and I'm going to live my life and be happy.
That sounds wise. That sounds very wise.
I mean, if that's what it comes down to, it's just like.
Well,
I'm in some ways like I am like I can almost like not even like give a shit. As long as it works and I'm getting the desired results, I'm like I can't think about what the future is going to hold. Like, are these going to be good enough?
Well, you know what?
Maybe.
There's nothing HDMI 2.1 can do that would enhance like a stream or YouTube video experience. There's nothing it can do.
Yeah.
That you can't do equivalently, or I mean you cannot do those things on YouTube. You can't do VRR. You can't do 120 hertz. You can't do it.
And it is not negatively impacted my life not being able to do it.
So, I mean, in terms of content creation, I mean, I will say the access I've had to those features has not been well utilized. I got this receiver in, I think, September, or probably October, I think. And I don't know if I've like played through any game since then, like beyond just like testing stuff. I don't know if I played any game where I took advantage of like, 120 FPS or 40 FPS or VRR. Like I've experimented, but like I don't know if I've like sat down like this is the game I'm playing now, and I'm playing it at 40 FPS. Like I don't think I've done that since getting this receiver. So like. It has enhanced my life very little. Right now I'm happily playing, a 30 FPS Switch game. But anyway, yeah, it's a hassle. But what's interesting is you said before that you had trouble. See, you and I have, I think, had very different experiences with HDMI cable brands. Like what was it Z? What's the Z thing? Zeskit. See, I've used them and they've been totally good for most applications, but I have had issues using them in PS5 for whatever reason. PS5. I mean, I had the same issues with PS4 Pro when I would have like a cable that claimed to be 18 gigabits per second, but it wasn't.
I mean,
and,
like, if that's the case, though, if it's just, like, going to be this roulette all the time, like, that just, like...
Well, what...
It just, like, sounds like... Like, it's just,
well,
like,
it's
very
not
even
even
fun
regulated.
anymore. Like, that's, like, it's not even fun or interesting. It just sounds, like, constantly annoying. And, like...
Well, what I have found so far, for me, I just think it's interesting because you've said you've had trouble with the newer monoprice ones, the ones that say that, they're premium certified, right? The premium certified for...
I don't even know. I don't think I bought...
ultra-high.
I think I got the Zeskit and I've just, like, stuck with Zeskit and they've been totally fine.
Yeah. Well, but with the premium certified monoprice, the 48 gigabits per second ones, those I've been good with so far.
Okay, but I mean, like, if they're premium certified and they're getting, like, there's somebody certifying them.
Someone
like,
is,
so,
yeah. But
like, how does that then? Who's to say that they won't change like their process at some point? And like, does the certification like? So what it means is like the certification doesn't actually matter.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing
but
to
if
look
I'm buying
for,
something that's
but
like premium
but
certified and it's like not going to work, like what does
but
it even matter?
if it's not premium certified though, then then if you're trying to push the most that HDMI 2.1 can do, then I think there's almost a chance of
Okay,
work 100%.
But I mean, if the ones that I bought are premium certified to do HDMI 2.1 just fine, like, then they should do HDMI 2.1 just fine.
Yeah. Henry, the ones that
right?
I was Ryan had.
I mean,
that's
why they're being certified.
Yeah.
And that's why you're buying them is so that you can say that.
But
I mean, I don't think that means that.
Arrived in the vicinity of the sun, but remains
I mean,
at a standstill.
they both
just
have
that
to meet
HDMI
the same
certification may
standards,
not be
right?
regulating itself
Central
as well
Command.
as it could, but anyway, Henry, so ultimately,
I mean, did you use? I mean, the ones that I have running long distances, even though they're they're just HDMI, they're HDMI 2.1, but do you use like 2.1 like repeaters for like long runs, or do you like not have any long runs?
no, I don't have anything where I have to use a repeater, but I do have like to run to the TV from out of the receiver.
Captain Virgil, Captain Field, let's
might
do this. All right, ready to go.
Be 15 feet, 12, probably 15 feet. So that's the long run, and I think that was when I replaced. And I think I was the PS5 to the receiver, and then the PS5 to PS5 is going directly to the receiver with a very short.
What's that supposed to mean?
Okay, this is 13.
Am I so bad?
Is 15 the last one?
Yeah.
I think people say 14.
Now arriving at the mission
No,
area.
15 is the one that I have like one last. I can't let the graviton lens cannon activate more than 6 times.
But anyway,
Oh, tell me they're kidding. All units full speed ahead. Let's make them
what was I saying? I was going short cable to the three-way switcher, short cable to the receiver, and then like I think 15 foot to the TV. And then when I replaced the Zeskit with monoprice, I stopped having those brief black screens on PS5. But now I'm connected directly to the receiver with PS5, so there's even fewer things in the chain now. And I think it's fine, but again, to be fair, I have not put that much time into 120 hertz PS5 stuff. So, but I see Henry Clark's talking about doing a 35-foot HDMI 2.1 fiber run in full spec. I don't know anything about using fiber for HDMI 2.1. Like, you run it into like I don't really know anything about that. Like what devices you use as part of that. But right now, I think things are fine. I just need that last element of a 2.1 capture card. I don't even want to capture 4K 120. I just want to be able to. I just want to capture. I want to convert 4K 120 to 1080p 60 for recording. That's what I want to do. I just want something that will accept it, so it'll let me use it on my TV. That's all it comes down to. I don't even care about capturing at those specs. Just an HDMI cable that uses fiber between the connectors. Looks just like a normal.
The enemy has arrived in the vicinity of the
cable,
sun, but remains at a standstill.
Directional.
At least for now.
I don't know. I already have like long HDMI 2.1 Zeskit cables that I'm running to my capture card from my receiver.
I mean, fingers crossed, they might end up working for you. But
yeah, I mean,
but like you say, I understand not having the desire to upgrade to, because I didn't either. But it's just that I had issues with the C7, so I needed to get a new TV. And then once you got access to those features, it's just like, well, guess I better go all the way, and it sucks. I don't get me wrong, you've done the right thing. You've done the right thing. I really believe that.
What are you scared?
I mean,
sounds like someone's going
you made the smart call, in my opinion.
I can hardly remember life without
HDMI 2.1 has enriched my life very little.
Am I so bad?
But
and caused more problems
Now arriving at the
than
mission area.
enriching it.
yes. But I'm sure over the years, it will be more and more so.
Oh, tell me they're kidding. All units, full speed ahead. Let's make them rue
If
the
Final
day.
Fantasy 16 has like a 40 FPS mode or something, then maybe that might end up being, the first time I like really seriously take advantage of it. I have no idea whether to expect a 40 FPS mode in that or not. Did I say 4K? I missed.
I feel like I know even less about Final Fantasy 16 than I knew about Zelda.
I don't know much. I'm trying to stay pretty in the dark on that too.
But I have like zero hype, like excitement for 16 also.
I mean, I understand that. I am excited because I trust the people behind it,
Mm-hmm.
I think they have earned my trust with how they turned Final Fantasy 16 or 14. Yeah, Mr. Do. I mean, I wish they wouldn't be afraid to make Final Fantasy menu driven again for a mainline entry. I wish they wouldn't be afraid to do that. I don't know why they're so afraid to do that.
Yeah, if that was the case,
well,
I'd probably be a lot more excited for it.
This came up, on last week's stream when Henry was on stream, where, he was, saying, I was basically saying the same thing, like I don't know if people really want like the more action-based Final Fantasy, and but he was like saying like, oh, like the Final Fantasy 7 remakes battle system was like perfect for me. And I do agree that Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is a really good compromise. It turned out really well overall. I don't think it's perfect, but it is really good. It is a really good battle system, and it does retain enough elements from the classic menu-driven ATB system to make it palatable.
And you didn't play it on hard at all, did you?
No, I didn't. I remember Dave was saying.
Like that's when I guess it really shines.
Right. And it's like it's so scary to even imagine the limitations that you have though. Like no items during battle, benches don't heal you, I think. Or I don't even know if you can use items at all. Like I think you can. I think it's only during battle, maybe. Yeah, it's really, really scary. But like Dave actually said, like in some ways you feel it even more. It becomes more of an RPG. Like the way that you have to play it, and that's like hard for me to understand and visualize. But... Am I the only one that's looking at these spiky purple ships that Coury is shooting and think they look like a Ghastly from Pokemon? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I definitely do not.
I mean, it's a Gen 1 Pokemon, so it's like something you might encounter.
A Ghastly?
A Ghastly.
Oh, okay, I know what that is. That's like the purple cloud.
Yeah, it's kind of like spiky. It's like a floating head with hands. I think it's the form before Gengar, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, apparently Tim Rogers says the only way to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's very intimidating.
So he wishes you could just choose that from the beginning.
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering. Like, I wonder if Rebirth.
Come on.
I wonder if Rebirth will
running into things like really, especially when you have like full boost.
Oh, you're right. Haunter. Yeah, Haunter's the one I'm thinking of.
One more time.
You're right. Ghastly is just like a cloud.
I don't think
Haunter
I'm gonna beat
has
this
like
tonight.
the hands.
I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow at 8:30, so I gotta be able to get up. I know you used to.
Yeah, like if Rebirth doesn't let you go into hard mode from the beginning, like I wonder how many people are going to feel. I mean, for all we know, the combat could be the battle system could be very different. But I do wonder if people will be disappointed they can't just do hard mode from the beginning. The people who got really into
Ready to go?
got really into hard mode.
You need to beat it first.
But like part of me like
Guess I'll be face to face with the
part of me kind of wants to like try because I was actually thinking about like playing the Yuffie DLC and then replaying Remake on hard right after. Because I thought like Yuffie might be a good warm up. But I ended up just playing Yuffie.
Am I so
I
bad?
didn't go back to replay the game. I mean, I kind of do want to replay it though. But I'm definitely scared of hard mode. I didn't see. I apologize for this. 9 minutes ago, there was a $2 super chat from SNK Nostalgia. Thank you. Saying my day one Series X had a bad HDMI and lost signal. You know, I had issues for a while with Series X having periodic, like just little pops in the audio. And it seemed to get better eventually. Like it would happen with like, as far as I could tell, it could potentially happen with any game, on any settings. I just couldn't figure it out. And it hasn't been an issue for a while, except I will say, sometimes, I played through Jade Empire recently. And of course, that's an emulated original Xbox system. And there were times where I would just get this little pop. Like it sounded to me like, not as a non-audio expert, it kind of sounded like almost like a sampling error, like a sample was skipped or something like that. It sounded like, like like if you have like a sample rate mismatch, sometimes you can just get like just a little subtle hitch
Yeah.
in the audio. And it it did that occasionally, and I've not noticed it on Series X in any other context recently. So I'm assuming it was probably an emulation error, because otherwise I've never had an issue. I've had fewer issues with HDMI on Xbox Series X than I've had with HDMI on PS5. And that's consistent with my experience with Xbox One X and PS4 Pro as well. For some reason, like I have more, issues, or the PS5 and PS4 Pro just seem, in my experience, more demanding in terms of the cables having to be real deal to the specification and everything for me to use the full features. But yeah, I've never lost signal on Series X, so hopefully that means I don't have a bad HDMI port, but the audio issues did make me wonder. Because I never really heard anyone else talking about that issue that I was having, but then it got fine. One of the games I was using for testing in the early days of the generation was Master Chief Collection. I heard a lot of audio pops in that.
Yeah.
But then it happened whether I had set to surround or stereo. And of course, surround in that game is like completely screwed up.
Yeah, I had problems with reach.
But when I played through in stereo because I was streaming it. When I played through Halo 1 through 3, and there were never any audio pop issues then. So I mean, it's been a long time since I've had any audio issues on Series X, and I'm just guessing that the audio issues I heard in Jade Empire were probably just emulation related, or for all I know, that could be how the game originally was. I mean, BioWare was not exactly, a shining example of great technology at that time. Or maybe not even now. I'm not sure. It's been so long since I played a new BioWare game, really.
Can I just say that playing this with the mission stick is the way to play it. It's awesome, actually. Yeah.
Do you feel like you are better with it, or it's just more fun?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is definitely the way to play. This game does not have a save function in it. So there's no poner in this one.
Someone was asking if we would consider doing a Street Fighter 2 SNES or Genesis stream too. I assume in hype for Street Fighter 6, but I don't. I mean, first of all, I certainly wouldn't, because I'm not a big fine game guy.
I could do it. I have a real soft spot for the.
Well, what could you do with Street Fighter for a whole stream?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could just jump around to different games. I mean, I've seen very little of 5.
I don't have any of the. Well, maybe I do have the. It was on sale. Doesn't have all the characters.
And I'm dodging 3 times the lasers.
Dan Gaffster Games was asking, what did you guys think of the paradigm system from Final Fantasy 13? Rather than commanding all party members, focusing on the leader, letting the paradigm control the others. If you want to know my thoughts on
the paradigm control
systems,
the paradigm.
The paradigm system, yeah. Go to Digital Foundry and watch the 2-part Final Fantasy 13 BF Retro that I did with John Linneman last year. The first part is on the original game, and the second part is on the 2 sequels. And I really like it. You know, it really, to me, I mean, first of all, I don't even really think that much in terms of controlling even the lead character in Final Fantasy 13. To me, I always saw Final Fantasy 13's battle system as being more like an extension of 12 in a lot of ways, where the focus the focus is no longer on the moment-to-moment input commands, and is more on planning your overarching strategy.
They died whenever the ship blows up. It's like.
He says, I watched it. I just wanted to hear you both ramble about it. Final Fantasy 12 really clicked for me when
good guys blow it.
When I realized that it was really more about planning your strategy and adapting your strategy, and not so much on planning moment-to-moment combat. And Final Fantasy 13 is very similar to that, where you are planning your overall strategy. But I think in a lot of ways, Final Fantasy 13 gives you even more control than Final Fantasy 12 to kind of make moment-to-moment adaptations based on how the battle is unfolding. So it's not so much about a lot of people think of it as it's just the game playing itself. You have to be really engaged with Final Fantasy 13 to succeed. And you have to be paying attention to, how the battle is going, what is changing, what the enemy is doing, and is now the right time to push forward the relentless assault, as it were, or is it time to kind of huddle up and stand back and debuff and buff, or do you really want to push hard and take a chance on pushing the stagger meter high really quickly, or are you going to lose it if you don't switch it up with some commando attacks or saboteur attacks and stuff like that? It's a system that you really keeps you on your toes. And even though at a glance, especially if you're only playing the first chapter, you might think, there's nothing to this. But it's actually just, I think, an extremely engaging battle system.
There is no save in this game.
This is Hog 1, right? Birdie?
So did you finish, or you? Because I saw you.
Yeah, I let it run out.
You let the timer run out.
It's almost 11:30.
Is this just the demo?
I was just gonna play the first level again with using this.
Roll with the stick, yeah.
And also, I changed the buttons to how I wanted them to be.
Will be displayed on your HUD. Just
although now I'm used to it the other way.
Approaching mission area.
Chris V says, my controller died in FF13 during a boss fight. I didn't die after leaving for several minutes by game. Well, I mean, I can tell you that's not going to apply to most battles or most situations in most boss battles. It's really easy to die in a regular encounter. But, I mean, if you were on a really safe paradigm, one that had a healer or a tank or something like that, that does sound very believable. But are you going to be able to successfully push through to the end of the battle on that paradigm? Probably not. Or if you can, it would take excessively long.
All units have reached the scanning point.
Very good. Undock your support craft and start scanning.
Yeah, I saw the completed save file, but I'll probably play it all the way through, capturing footage probably tomorrow for it.
Yeah, because you want to capture for the game.
Just while I'm still good at it.
All support craft.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's dock them and roll back.
Well, you can. I'm sure there's a level select, but I think the level select only opens up after you beat the game. Maybe.
Guess they finally noticed.
Stranger Moon is asking, what is 2-player mode in this game?
They're attacking.
Split screen? That would be wild.
Is there a 2-player mode?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to imagine.
Jump turbulence.
Like,
No
or maybe
ID
it's just like a
signals.
competitive
Multiple
mode,
enemy craft exiting jump.
a competitive
All
arena,
units,
and not like the
intercept at
campaign.
your own
I don't
discretion.
know.
Time to step it up.
I would be very impressed if it just has the whole campaign like running at full frame rate and split screen. That'd be
Yeah.
wild.
It seems unlikely.
Two-player mode is when flying the Type B fighter. One person pilots, the other person.
Oh,
aims and
nice.
shoots.
I like that.
That actually sounds really fun.
Yeah.
You know, that's how Drum and I played through Sin and Punishment on hard mode, because it doesn't officially have like a multiplayer mode, but every controller plugged into the system responds as if it was player one. So you can have one person focused on dodging and the other person focused on aiming and shooting. And it worked really well. I have a hard time imagining being able to beat hard mode on Sin and Punishment, focusing on both dodging and attacking. Yeah, Shadow Mask is saying if anyone here is interested in voice action or voice acting for projects like this, the Saturn community would like to hear your talents. I'm not hard to find online. Yeah, so Shadow Mask is kind of the audio engineer, or at least one of the audio people involved in these projects. So yeah, they have been doing some unbelievable stuff with implementing voice in Saturn localizations. So yeah, if you have any inklings for voice acting, get involved.
Yeah. That'd be fun. I'll just finish this level and then we'll call it a night and a week.
Yep.
Like I said, I got a busy week this week. But when 2 weeks ago when I said that I was clearing the runway for like more frequent episodes, like I mean that. Like I feel, doing that last episode, the power supply episode, was a big confidence booster. Because like I said, it took me 5 days to do it, and it was fun. Like all the people I talked to, it was like it felt like getting the band back together. Like I worked with like Artemio, who like helped me explained a lot of like power stuff to me. Voltar explained a bunch of power stuff to me, and then several people fact checked it.
That's that, I guess.
Like Smoke Monster was kind enough to read over it, because he had been using them since like 2018 or 2019
Yeah.
to power a bunch of stuff.
Hawk 1 to Garuda. We've got your enemy data.
But it was fun.
But as you
It
can
was
see,
fun,
we've got
and
big trouble.
it was.
What's the plan?
This is Garuda. Threat
It was
confirmed.
like I said, it was a big
Hawk
confidence
Featherwing,
booster, and it just
use
felt
your
good
support
just
craft to recharge and
to make
pursue
that.
the
Even though
asteroid while
it
awaiting
was,
further
I knew
instructions.
that these next
Roger that,
like the
Garuda.
following weeks were going to be really
30.
crazy. So I was
Use
like,
my
I need to
support
get
pod to
this done
recharge.
before I
Man,
leave town.
should have known they wouldn't let us ease into this
And
gate.
I made it with about 24 hours. I released it about 24 hours before, so it was
Nice.
good. I feel it was.
The asteroid launched through the
It
enemy's
felt good to
Excel
be
gate
back,
is 300 meters in
guess.
diameter. If it continues to plunge toward the Earth,
Oh,
the
I mean,
damage will be
Steernick, they
immeasurable.
don't appear in anything except for like Analog
We are
Frontiers
now loading Falcon
and like
1
the
with the
documentary we
resonant
did on
frequency
them.
round.
Oh yeah, it's
Once
not
ready,
being
we,
in the
along with
video.
Eagle
It's just
Featherwing,
like,
will
you know,
head to
we
your position.
it'd been a while since we had done a
Meanwhile, take note of
subject
the
where we
vernier
felt we
thrusters
really
attached to the
needed
asteroid
to
for course correction.
get our
Destroy them.
more technically oriented fact checkers involved is what
Yes.
Coury means, and Steve has helped us a lot in the past, but he's not on the internet too much, so
Right.
not necessarily the easiest person to get a hold of. but yeah, I mean, it's just been a while, and we used to always run these videos by, you know, our Artemio and Voltar and Steve and other people, Bob, and it's just been a while since we'd done a subject where we felt like we need these people to look over it. So that's what Coury means.
Right.
Yeah, you know, not necessarily appearing in the video, but just providing, you know, making sure we are covering everything and being correct about it.
Yeah. And, you know, there was a comment on the video saying, you know, like, oh, you didn't talk about, like, what exactly a switching power supply does, you know, like, how it does it. And, you know, I felt like this was not up to your, like typical level of, like, deep dive stuff. And, I'm just making a conscious decision to, like, I'll do what I can. But if, in terms of, like, just, like, getting stuff done, like, I'm just not going to, I'm not going to get crazy in this stuff if I can't make it interesting to me to make.
Yeah. Well, and also
there's only so many shots that I could shoot of that stupid power supply.
I mean, I think some people too, like, have this image that they've of us and what we do that they've developed in their heads that has never corresponded to reality. Because, like, you know, we made like a 12-minute video about what at the time we thought was all the video quality stuff to say about the NES.
Right.
Like, our stuff used to be much less in depth. And I think people just are like, oh, these guys cover everything. And that's never really been the case. And so, and it's like, you know, we're not going to be getting into tech nitty gritty that we're not comfortable talking about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so, you know,
if we can't make it interesting to watch, you know, like make that visually interesting at least.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
we don't need to have a full understanding of how switching power supplies work to do what they do.
And you don't need it
works to do what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
That's good. I mean, it felt good. It felt good to make it. I'm very happy with the way it came out and the response to it. I mean, I'm excited to do more stuff like that. So it's a journey, not a destination. That's correct. All right. I hope everyone has a great week coming up here.
Yeah.
I'll let everybody know next week how Future Day works out.
Oh, yeah, I am very curious. That'll be that's this week.
Yeah, on Thursday.
All right. Well,
I meet with like
you're going to be a major
classes.
distraction for these kids,
and then I have to shoot video of the talent show immediately after. So
yeah, I bet the kids are going to be very rambunctious when you are doing your thing.
Maybe they just want to ask questions, and like that makes it easy. I can just answer questions.
They're just going to want to play. Well, actually, I'll be very curious how they react to the games you have available on the message.
But I mean, I can always. I might bring a Switch instead. It just might be easier. We'll see.
It might be easier too because it's widescreen. Just to set up a simple layout or something.
Yeah, you know? That's true. Anyways, thank you to everybody who donated, and I hope that everyone has a great week. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Take care.